With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Ever witnessed someone so fast on track you doubt you could ever be on their level? The mission of Advanced Motorsports is to demonstrate the speed is achievable for everyone. With the expertise of some of the best sim drivers in North America, we are set to release free content on social media and comprehensive guides on our website. For those seeking the ultimate experience, our Advanced Motorsport Institute and personalized coaching sessions are the way to go. No matter your level of experience, we invite you to follow us on our social media to learn to be fast.
Tonight, we start week 4 of the PRL Truck Series at the High Banks of Daytona. Welcome into RaceSpotTV's coverage of the Precision Racing League live. And I am Derek Watson, joined tonight by Lorenzo Bonder. And Lorenzo, here we are, the wild card, the joker, the question mark, whatever you want to call it. This is right dab in the middle of the season.
Right dab in the middle of the season. And what a track to kick off, right? This mid portion and the mid portion, then start the second half of the season, if you want to call it at that, at Daytona. Super speedway, plate racing, not easy for you to go by with these trucks. They can get a little bit live. Can't wait to see that in a few minutes.
And of course, we saw a lot of beating and banging at Lucas Oil last week, so some drivers may have already burned up their drop weeks, but we'll wait and see how that looks. Speaking of the drop weeks and the points, let's take a look at those. Right now, Brett Adams is still your points leader by 20 points over Andrew Sharp. Then Zach Panzarella, last season's champion, is in P3. Philip Beaver's in P4. Marty Calvert, his teammate, in P5. That is Austin Hunter, Patrick Cowgill, Jamie Graham, Brandon Shatley, and Zach Burnt, rounding out your top 10. And let's take a look at the team points. We need to make a small addendum to this graphic. It says that What About Hunters is first. That's not right. It's actually Philmar is in first. That's Calvert and Beaver up in P1, 209 points. DDI 44 ever is at 194. With Hunters there, you are in third place, only 3 points back. What About Final Drive, Battle Bus, Buster's Buds, Big Fast Racing, Adams Family Racing, Murphy Esports, and Riley Racing round out your top 10. Well, before we get into tonight's coverage, let's go ahead and thank a few people for making this broadcast possible. Let's start tonight by thanking Advanced Sim. Advanced Sim Racing is owned and operated by passionate sim racers. Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds are the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits in the market today. All PRL members get a 5% discount code on ASR products using the Precision5 coupon code. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous of sim racing drivers. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, our button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit raceboxsimracing.com and get a 5% discount code using Precision5 coupon code. Next is the Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to every game you play. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat with the Butt Kicker. Moradness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. For more information, visit moradness.com. Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography. You can capture your finest, proudest, or simply your worst moments from your hobby in up to 8K resolution. They're a great addition to any sim racing room. And last but not least is Advanced Motorsports. Get ready to learn how to be fast with Advanced Motorsports. Follow them on their socials to become a better driver. Whether it's Facebook, X, Threads, Instagram, or more, follow Advanced Motorsports. Well, Lorenzo, here we are right now in the heat of qualifying as we are underway. There's Andrew Sharp on track, riding through the bottom lane here at Daytona.
Yeah, already trying to get his fast lap in, and Daytona is that very traditional thing, right? The first lap usually is not the lap that counts because you're still building up speed. You're not at the peak speed at the 2.5 mile oval. So normally you expect, okay, maybe if you get a really good first lap, you can set yourself up for the second one, which is slightly better. And you can see right there, Andrew Sharp's lap, not the fastest, but 11 thousandths of a second closer to Brad Adams. And that thing is, doesn't matter if you're last or first, you always have a chance.
That's right. Yeah, here at Daytona, you can win from just about any spot on the track. All right, well, qualifying is over. Let's go ahead and take a look at the grid and see how we're going to line it up here tonight at Daytona. Brett Adams, your season-long points champion so far, is up in P1 with Andrew Sharp in P2. Doyle Lawrence and Kyle Dewey are third and fourth, with Matthew Alaka and Philip Beaver rounding out your top six. Let's move into P7 with Alex Hillman and Mike Toomer Jr. Then Marty Calvert and Nicholas Hunter rounding out your top 10. Tom Massey and Stacy Hunter, 11th and 12th. Moving back to row 7, we'll keep going here. These are drivers who did not set a time. I'll read them off to you here. That's going to be a long list here, so let's get through it. Stacy Hunter, Zach Panzarella, Kevin McGarvey, Steve Bammer, Brandon Chatley, Pratik Cowgill, Dylan Schmidt, Baron Hilton, Austin Hunter, Zachary Burnt, Will Jennings, and Antonio Bannister, rounding out a 23-car field. Oh my goodness, Lorenzo, there's more cars that didn't qualify than the ones that did.
It is just like I said, right? And you don't expect to sometimes be the first guy is going to be the guy that is going to lead the pack and have an advantage. I think at Daytona, at Voltracks in NASCAR, is the one that the leader doesn't have an advantage. I would say he has a disadvantage of sorts. He kind of can control the fuel of sorts. He can control which lane he will kind of like cover it up. But after that, it is just trying to survive the whole laps and stay and see if he's going to be in front, even though he's going to be burning fuel more than so others. Therefore, it's not only a strategy race because you're thinking about fuel. It's going to be down the line, a positioning race to see who's going to come out on top.
Yeah, lots of thoughts into this mental chess game we call Daytona. Whether you want to lead or maybe not lead is a question. Where you want to hang back and wait for the first wreck. Hey, who knows? We'll see a lot of different strategy here tonight. Well, the field's getting their last-minute instructions from race control. It's encouraging to be safe, be smart, and race each other clean. There you go. The iRacing Pace truck is off the roll here, Lorenzo. We're now going to get moving down this 2.5-mile racetrack before we go green. So what do you think is your key to victory tonight, Lorenzo?
Avoid the big one and be there at the right place at the right time whenever it comes up. And that means at the end of the race. And leading sometimes is a good thing, but don't overthink that leading over here is the best thing to do.
All right, so if we're working on, of course, a timed race here, 40 minutes. If we stay green, it's a little over, probably about 45 laps. At what point do you want to start working your way to the front?
Ooh, good question. I would say maybe about 10 laps to go. That's, I think, is going to start to kick off, and drivers are going to try to move up in the field. Of course, if we stay under a very long field, then we might be seeing 3 wides and things like that. But we normally know that Daytona, whenever it comes out to the final laps, it's that thing that yellow can breed yellows.
Yeah, cautions breed cautions is the phrase, and we'll see how it rolls here. But Brett Adams and Andrew Sharp, row 1, hopefully in their mind, the safest of the drivers on the field here. Well, this will determine a lot of how we begin to shape up our points in this series. Starting next week, your drop weeks will take effect, and the points may shake up a little bit, but wait and see. But for right now, it's the most exciting racing we can do, and maybe the best vehicles. We'll talk about that later as far as the trucks being best in the draft. Well, here we go. Going to come out of turn number 4 one final time. Everyone's going to get a big, deep breath. They're going to buckle up those belts or tighten them up at least. Make sure they're tight. Get a last drink of water. The field comes down here. Pace cards down. And here we go. Green flag racing at Daytona. Here they are now off the turn number 2, coming down the back straight. Long back straight to go here. Everything's still as it seems so far, Lorenzo. No big moves. Brett Adams on the bottom, Andrew Sharp on the top.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing basically those 2 lanes trying to find themselves together, work together a little bit, maybe, you know, work on the bump draft. Over here, the bump draft is kind of strong. Of course, trucks is still a little bit more wobbly once you do that bump draft.
No yellow, everything stays green. Both trucks are good so far. Sharp comes up. All is good. Sorry for interruption there, but that's going to be contact between Sharp and Alaka from second and third. It's going to shuffle them to the back. We stay green.
Yeah, somehow, like I told you, those contacts making the car wobbly, right? And also defining yourselves in the lane is going to be quite complicated. You can see miscommunications in the lanes already. Everybody that was kind of like on the high line coming to the low line already.
Wow, that's just how fast things happen at Daytona. Is now, as Lorenzo said, everyone trying to find a lane. For now, it's going to be the bottom lane. Let's watch the replay here. That Sharp up top. I mean, I think it'll lock it. Maybe this came up. It's hard to tell from that camera angle, but maybe came up a little bit. But congrats to both drivers. I wonder if Alaka ate a black flag there, by the way, Lorenzo. They just barely clipped pit road.
It's a good question.
Oh, here we go. Beginning another lap around this track. The top line now starting to form up again here, Lorenzo. Got 1, 2, 3, 4 cars up top. Right now, 3 of them in a line. Let's see if they can make a move.
Yeah, and you're going to see the replay while Beaver goes into the lead. The 33 comes down.
Oh, there it is.
And the 3 goes up, and they make contact. After that is all history.
Yeah, it's going to be the 33 making the contact first. It got everyone wiggled around. Here's the top line now. Now they're dominant. This is Philip Beaver leading up top, Lorenzo. And here we come to the line. If this was the race, it would barely be Brett Adams. But we're going to keep going for another 37 and a half minutes.
Yeah, we got a Beaver kind of controlled that lane up top. Right behind him, I think it's the 16 of Marty Calvert. It got a little bit girly coming at the exit at turn number 3 and 4, leading to the tri-oval. Then nearly made the Silverado truck off the number 60 to get a little bit of loose again.
These are teammates right here at Fillmore Racing up top. These are your current team points leaders. They're pushing all the way through the corners. A lot of controversy in the community. We can talk about that not in a moment, but here we are.
Yep.
And around out of 4 we go again. Things are pretty calm. You see the field's got a bit of a gap in the back. Oh, here's a wreck. Caution's out. Big wreck here. Oh my gosh, that's going to put Philip Beaver possibly out of this race.
Potentially, and it's that thing, right?
Yeah, we'll just have to see if it was the bump draft, right? Could have, I don't know.
Yeah, we had this discussion early on, right? Of maybe you would get some sort of early yellows. We're gonna look at Antonio Bannister, who got involved right there. Looks like his truck is the back is okay, but the front looks a little bit bent over.
Now here's the good news for the drivers, Lorenzo. Long pace laps. So as long as you don't have any big engine damage, you can work out most of the body damage at this track. You can work out about 1.5 minutes to 1:45 seconds on pit road here once they come around. So good news for Beaver or Bannister, as long as there's no engine damage.
Yeah, definitely. And I think for Alaka as well, it's really good to give him some sort of a second line, given the fact that he was inside that top 4.
And says here comes the bump. Oh, there it is. Not even close to even, Lorenzo. It is very off-center bump draft, and that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, the slightest touch on the side of the car is going to look like a pit maneuver, unfortunately, between teammates, which is the most surprising thing of sorts.
I mean, teammates or not, it's just that, these cars move around. It's hard to keep them lined up and straight. We'll see a few drivers down pit road. Watch it here. This is going to be from Calvert. Look at this. He kind of stays straight overall. It's Beaver who's moving around, it looks like. But Scott turned around, and that's your cause of caution. Number 1 here, about 35 minutes to go. Lots of movement down pit road, Lorenzo, because this right here could be the only fuel stop you would need, I would think, in this race if you come down and top off right now.
If we get more, I would say if we get one more yellow flag, this can actually become just a 1 pit stop race, because these cars go, what, 30-something laps, 35 laps, I think, before you come into the pit lane. So that's considerable enough, given the fact they're running 48-second laps of sorts. So this could be it. I like what from Adams to Macy they're doing right now with the strategy they have going on. I think they're banking on the fact that we might have yellow flags to dictate this race before moving forward.
Yeah, that's right. You could see that fuel play out that way as well. I mean, tires, not really a factor here. I often believe if you're taking the fuel, you know, maybe you want to take the tires as well, but tires don't really wear here. It's not a tire race. You can run these tires forever, it feels like. And B, okay, well, Lorenzo, it's time to rack them up again. Let's watch a replay here. This will be from Mike Toomer. Let's watch what Mike Toomer's view of this wreck was. See him coming off of Ford on the gyro cam. Watch this, Lorenzo. Well, this almost missed it. Just thought he had it cleared, and overall, great recovery there.
What matters is he kept the car straight, right? He managed the car, didn't overturn the car, didn't do anything that would be overly dramatic. He knew he had the car grip in it. I think there was just a mild contact. And once he got into the grass, I think it was just trying to keep the car control and do not floor the car paddle down. And he got everything right there. Good awareness.
And overall, it does show, doesn't it, just how helpless it can be at Daytona, right? Mike Toomer just driving along, everything was okay. Next thing you know, there's a car right in front of you.
Yeah. Whenever you get the big one, all hell, you can kind of say all hell breaks loose, right? Because you don't know where to go, and you're going to have to rely on your spotters to say, oh, go high, stay low. Get to the grass, maybe ride the grass, because it is something that sometimes drivers do to have the wreck avoidance. So it's not easy, the job that the spotters have to do in this race. Imagine if you have like one spotter for 4 drivers and he has to manage this for all 4 drivers at once.
Yeah, and that's sort of why drivers prefer the bottom lane sometimes, right? Because there's a belief, whether it's right or wrong, that if you're on the bottom lane of the racetrack, you sort of think you have more space to avoid the wreck.
Yeah, but then again, you have... But you kind of have to remind yourself that despite your being in the bottom lane, let's just say you get pit maneuver of sorts into the high lane, you're eventually going to come down. You're never staying in the high lane.
Oh, yeah, there's no such thing as a safe space. That camera shot right there, by the way, was showing you that Brett Adams a little bit off the gas, just trying to save some fuel here under caution. As Lorenzo said, multiple different ways to save fuel here. This is Nicholas Hunter back here, by the way. Nicholas having a P5 run. Remember, last time we were at Talladega, Nicholas won I guess a not controversial, but a surprising ending under caution, where his brother Austin pushed him to the win when the yellow flag came out.
Oh, it's NASCAR. Sometimes a win is a win, even though people might not like it, right? All
right, well, pace car lights are off. Good friend of the show, David Duino's in the chat. LMP3 driver on Monday nights asked for this, said my initials are DW. And there was a DW in the NASCAR and Fox booth. The pace car is down. Buckle those belts up tight. Get a big, deep breath. David, this is for you. Green flag, boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing.
You forgot boys.
Here we are out of turn 2, RTC movement. That's going to be Doyle Lawrence up there in P3, already moving to the high side, now looking for the draft. Needs to get some cars tucked up behind him and see if he can make a move to the front.
Yeah, but more interestingly for me is the fact that he was using a little bit of the number 16 of Marty Culver's bumper to try to get a slingshot effect. Basically, use the back end of the car, slingshot yourself forward, and try to use the side draft a little bit. The problem is he doesn't have a lot of help. He only has, I think that might be Pinzarello that might be up on the top.
That's Nicholas Hunter, I believe, up there and behind him on the high side. Yep.
Yeah, so that's Nick Hunter helping on the top. Then you have 2 more cars in the top lane. you need more than that, even though you need to.
Yeah, I agree. You need some more, but here they come. Here comes the whole line. Now you make it work. In the back of your shot, you see Philip Beaver. Maybe not got all that damage fixed. Well off the pace here. And we'll keep racing, and hopefully he'll be able to get a chance to get that fixed. Right now, the top line's got Andrew Sharp in third. Sharp needs to get up there and get a little closer, Lorenzo, to make this drafting line work.
Oh yeah, he needs, but that's what, at least the two lanes are working more in tandem right now. There's not a lack of cohesion between the drivers of who's pushing, who's not pushing, and how safe the push should be around the corners. That's the good thing, you know. They're not overstressing the car already early on in this race. The question is, can themselves maintain that cohesion, like the drivers in the top lane maintain cohesion with not only spacing but with pushing and draft trading they have to do to maintain with the guys on the bottom lane.
That's a shot of Matthew Alaka up top, by the way. He was one of those cars who spun out of there at the end of the first lap. Now back in the heat of things here in this pack, almost thinking about maybe going 3 wide, backed out of it here. Here's back to the front of the field. It's still Brett Adams, your leader, led every lap so far. It's got Doyle Lawrence and Marty Calvert side by side for second and third. Then the next row is Nicholas Hunter and Alex Hillman as you round out your top 5. And look at this, little off center for Brett Adams. I thought that he was going to get run over there, or that Calvert was going to get up under him and leave him behind, but he got back in line here, and he's getting the aggressive bump draft all the way down the back from Marty Calvert.
Yeah, and still making it work. And that thing of, you know, coming to the corners, do you like to be bump trapped around the corners? Because it is a very controversial topic, right? People sometimes don't like it, and sometimes it might be effective for you to get pushed around the corner and gain some speed at the cost of potentially making the car loose at a bank corner like this.
Yeah, we talked about earlier about your bump trap needs to be square to the back of the bumper. And sometimes in a corner that's hard to do, right? Because you're trying to hold on to that corner and move it around here. This is Tom Massey, part of DDI 44 Ever. See him here with a Daily Drivers Inc. car in front of him. And Massey currently running back here P10 and P11, depending upon the millisecond you look at the board. This would be a shot of the 33 there for briefly, but we'll move on back to the front of the field. And I wonder, Lorenzo, you see Andrew Sharp back there, the third car in the top line. I wonder if he's having a hard time keeping a hold of the draft due to some damage from that first bit of contact he had with the Alaka.
That's a good question, but it doesn't seem like it. I think he's just trying to play it safe.
Oh, look at that. Look at Andrew Sharp with the race suit. That's dressing for the job you want right there.
Hashtag swag.
Yeah, it needs the helmet, right? That's what I got told in our ears. But there's that old adage, you know, dress for the job you want, not for the job you have. Well, there you go. There's Andrew Sharp showing off. That's an old Jeff Gordon DuPont race suit even.
I want to say that maybe like 2006.
Yeah, roughly right about that time, right, with the darker color scheme. Andrew, a big PRL member, a big champion of bringing back the Thursday night MX5 GR86 League. But look at that smile. Look how much fun he's having here. And right up there in the top of the pack, just having a good old time at Daytona.
Yeah, that's what matters, right? Have fun, try to drive hard as much as you can, and just enjoy the moment. And for him, staying in 7th place, that's all that matters. Just embrace all the madness that Daytona usually brings you on a race basis.
We're about 15 minutes into this race. It's about 25 minutes left on the clock. And right now, that top lane, I think they're being a little patient, maybe not as aggressive as they could be, but Nicholas Hunter is having a hard time keeping Lawrence, up to the lead here. You see Zach Panzarella back there on the bottom of that green machine is now creeping his way to the front. Last season's champions trying to see if he can make an impact on this race. And we're going to go around. Now look at that big, long line here on the bottom, Lorenzo. It's obvious people prefer the bottom as Calvert slid up for a second.
And also they're working well, aren't they? They're not, trying to go aggressive on the bump in. They're giving some headway to other drivers. Of course, sometimes you can even see it's not going to be at the front, but you can see from, I think, for the third, fourth car back, whenever they come into a run, they kind of have to lift off and go into the below the yellow line. So it's tricky, but they're working well together. They're not making like reckless moves, in my opinion, early on.
I don't know if you saw that lane change a second ago from that green and yellow machine in the middle of the field, but man, that was tight there by Zachary Burns, trying to get that in there and make that stick, but he did. Great job here. So now he's going to come on around, but man, that could have been not been any tighter of a lane change than what he pulled off here. Now they're going to dig down into the corner. See the bottom lane gets a temporary run. Now it looks like Sharps, by the way, is picking up that pace and maybe closing that gap in the draft here.
But he's not going to be able to make moves, right? I think he's kind of like stuck on that top lane. He's not going to be able to get down or try to, bump draft or slingshot any drivers or whatsoever. He's going to have to remain calm. Still fairly early portion of the race. Still a lot of things to happen.
By the way, yeah, sorry if I didn't mean to cut you off. By the way, of note, that's now Alex Hillman up there at the front of the top lane. He moved up at some point. We were going back through the field, and now he is leading that top lane. See if he can claim a lap lead. But so far, it has been Brett Adams every lap so far. If you look at the little sheet that says who led it, it's Brett Adams, Brett Adams, Brett Adams, Brett Adams, and so on and so forth as he is dominating this race. Let's watch a replay here, by the way. And this is going to be that tight moment I talked about a second ago. Watch this. Here it is. Here's the 28. Maybe didn't look as tight from the onboard, but got a nice bump in the corner.
Got it off at the end of things, but the top lane starting to crumble a little bit. We have to keep a look at that for the next few laps.
Here it is, as I said, Hillman. Look at this, though. Alaka and I saw both Calvert and others peaking. They're thinking about when they want to make that move, Lorenzo. You saw those cars dipping up. That could be for air, but it could also be testing the waters about when do I want to dive up top? When do I want to get around Brett Adams? But here they are again on the back straights. Green flag racing here at Daytona.
Yeah, and if Alaka wants to the top lane, that's basically blocked right now because there is a car right beside him. I think that looks like to be the 11 of Alex Hillman that has gone up top and kind of blocking Alaka's potential move to the top lane. Right now, that would be Pinzarella's opportunity to the top lane, but I think that is going to close really soon.
Going to close that back towards the front here is Hillman and the crew. They're going to get up almost side by side with Calvert into the corner. Maybe up to Calvert's back quarter panel, so no one's able to move up just yet here. But if Calvert moved up, he would just kill that run and that momentum, so he will not. Got a small bump from Panzarella to Calvert. Now Calvert onto the back into Adams. And look at that. That's the difference here. Look at that top and bottom. They're just not as connected on the top. Some people are great pushers, and some people aren't. And maybe we're seeing that.
Yeah, but also another thing is like, I don't know how much are the drivers allowed to talk on voice chat, because this race kind of like, it's odd for you to find friends without, and this is coming from my perspective.
Oh, there it is. There's Calvert to the top. Sorry to cut you off. There it is. Calvert's now made the move, and he has decided it's his time to try and lead. He'll be now Calvert, Hillman, Lawrence, Sharp, and others in that top lane. Now they're going to make a run here down the back straight. They'll get a small run to that gap in line that Calvert would have left for just a moment. They're side by side, down back to the super straight. Let's see what they can do with it here, down to 3. Now I think almost, Lorenzo, what's going to happen eventually, these trucks are going to get closer. That side draft will become prevalent. For right now, it's not. And that might be hurting the top lane a little bit.
I think we need more dwindled numbers, right? Those big numbers are not going to make a difference right now.
Oh, look at that. That's Calvert. That's Calvert at the line. Sorry, continue your thought.
No, it's okay, but it's like here comes now Calvert on the bottom lane. He's going to basically shut everything down, pass the torch to Hillman to try to lead that top back once again. But, it's those things. I don't think side drives are going to be important with these big numbers right now. It's kind of like just going to hold the crew or whatever lane you're going to be in for the time being. It's when the numbers are kind of like down to maybe a 4 car on top, 4 car on bottom. like where the numbers are going to be more dwindle, when the side drive could actually make a huge difference pushing the car forward or not.
And what we saw right there at the end of that lap here, by the way, that's Philip Beaver, currently 7 laps down, and still trying to get out here and run and see if he can gain some points. That's well off the pace here. Fortunately, he was the unfortunate, negative side of that caution. But what I noticed here, by the way, Calvert had no problem leaving Hillman behind in the draft, by the way, Lorenzo. In this sort of weird mental chess game known as Daytona, when someone leaves you behind in a draft and sort of just leaves you hanging out to dry, that's something you remember in case that situation comes up later, right?
Sort of. But of course, in my point, it goes from driver to driver, right? If the guy that you were drafted in front was kind of clean, or you knew that he did some good coordination, you were bumping, and he was kind of like leading you in kind of properly, you'd have no problem with him to go to the bottom lane or top lane and control the other lanes. So he goes.
New leader again. That's Alex Hillman, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. It goes from the driver's perspective, right? It's all about driver perspective and lap by lap read. And we go 3 wide. Is that it in the lead?
Does look that way for a moment, didn't it? Got it sorted out. But man, look at they're getting antsy right here behind him. And that's Lawrence and that's Andrew Sharp. 2nd and 3rd in line on top. They keep looking. See what they can make happen here. Little under 20 minutes to go. Right now it's Hillman on the top side, Calvert on the bottom. Brett Adams now back to 2nd in line on the bottom. Adams for the first time tonight getting to have to race with someone in front of him. And hey, good news for Adams, for someone who led part of this race. He gets to fuel save in the draft.
Yeah, he doesn't have to go full throttle, and some of the iRacing kind of like fuel calculations are based upon the throttle usage. Therefore, even if you go like 10% off, 15% off, you're still sucking in that draft. The car is still being pushed. Even 20% might actually make a difference whenever you come down into pit lane and potentially do an overcut. But also another important thing here, you kind of have to observe the pit stops, because the one thing you really don't want to be doing is pitting all by yourself.
That's right, yeah. And the question is, who does need to pit, right? That'll be the question in mind. There's a live shot here, by the way. This is a draft pack that's the 42 and the 420. They have lost the draft pack, Lorenzo. Now, some people say this is a strategy. For the record, this is Mike Toomer and Will Jennings. They're both damaged, but some people like to ride back. Listen, you ride back there and you wait for the big wreck to happen, and you kind of get to drive slowly by the carnage and see what happened.
And this could work, but the problem is riding 3 seconds lap down. It is just not helping you one bit. Of course, if this was a longer race, then I would.
Man, look at Lawrence. I'm sorry, good. If this was a longer race.
If this was a longer race, I would have no problems, just doing that kind of strategy. But potentially only 50 laps in a race like this, it could be detrimental for either driver.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. If this stays green, it will be detrimental. But if it stays green, here's the question we got to start thinking about. Who needs to pit? We saw some drivers such as Sharp, such as Beaver, Calvert, others all come down pit road. They might be good on fuel, but drivers like Adams, Calvert, Panzarella, and others did not pit. So the question will be, who does and doesn't? Oh, that's right. Panzarella did pit. I apologize. Doyle Lawrence did not pit. Nicholas Hunter, another one. So this might get interesting if this thing stays green about who needs to come down pit road.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say those guys that actually didn't pit on the first lap must be thinking, oh, what lap should we pit, or would be more beneficial for us as a whole, because we still have to look to the potential of those drivers that did pit in the first pit stop, or the only pit stop that you had available in this race, to maybe not be benefited moving on, as you have probably the topic of the week is usually Derek.
Well, here's Patrick Cowgill racing in the dark tonight. There's an old song about dancing in the dark. Well, here's Patrick Cowgill racing in the dark. Kind of hard to take a look at. This is I like racing in the dark myself. I like having the dark room with just the monitor on, but some racers really do prefer the bright lights and everything when they're racing. Look at that, the red light turned off behind him. That would have freaked me out if I was driving in that moment. Patrick having a pretty quiet night back here in P10, P11, P12. And right now, just hoping to have a good night. Patrick's not the biggest fan of super speedway racing, so he's hoping to get out of here with just a quiet night.
Yeah, and we had this discussion, right? Because Calgo is sitting next to the top of the standings, and this.
Oh,
could
two hands, Patrick, 2 hands. Sorry.
Yeah, 2 hands. If it was a G29, then I could say, you know, you can have 1 hand in, but if you have drag with wheel drive, you have to have your 2 hands in at all times.
Oh, took his hand off twice in the back straight there. That's a very calm and
Swag.
comfortable Patrick Calgo. That's more brave than I would be.
Oh, that's swag.
Here we are, about a little less than 14 minutes to go on around again. At the line, it would be Calvert leading this race. Hillman's up top in second. Brett Adams in the first one, second, and bottom line in third. There's a big lane change there. That's going to be from the 33. My goodness, that's Kyle Dewey, I do believe.
And the 23 and 11 nearly come together. Looking from that angle, but doesn't look like it. They still remain within the status quo. Also, another important thing is, 9 coming down. Okay, interesting. The responsibility is now up to Sharp.
Yeah, there's Sharp back there, second in line. Now he needs to get up there
Pit stop.
and get going. But here's some pit stops. Here it is. That's Calgill and others all coming down pit road. These would all be trucks, pardon me, Lorenzo, who did not pit under that yellow.
Yeah, I got Hilton, Chaplin, and they did pit actually. They are like Chaplin, Calgill, Hilton, Hunter, and also McGarvey. They're all doing their pit stops, but I think they're probably going to work as a whole group. This is where we start to see those bigger groups starting to form small packs and see if those small packs are going to lead you into the promised land, into the proper spots at the end of the race.
There's your first of what I suspect will be multiple pit stop groups in this race. But look how quick it was, Lorenzo. Then no tires needed. Just a very, very small splash of gas is all needed. They were in and out pretty quickly.
Yeah, only a dab on the tank. I don't think, and like you said, tires are not going to be an effect. Something to be affected off in this race. Therefore, you just put a dab on the fuel and get out as quickly as you can. Because the one thing you really don't want to be in is being caught by the entire lead group, and then a yellow flag throws you off balance.
So when you see how quick that stop was with how little fuel it was, does that give you more or less confidence to think that the people who pitted on lap 6 are probably good on fuel?
Ooh, I would say no change.
Well, what's going to change here in a second, sorry to cut you off, is going to be we have a lapped car here in front of the field. Are they going to get out of the way, or is it going to be 3 wide? It's going to be 3 wide here at Daytona for the first time. That lapped car staying on the bottom. Oh, man, it's getting close.
Contact?
Oh, there's contact. Kyle Dewey up in the wall. There's a lock involved. A lock is down onto the pavement. We're going to say green. Alaka's off the racing surface. No caution will come out. That is the moment of thought from race control. And Kyle Dewey and Alaka both now pretty well damaged.
Yeah, I think Dewey's tail link might be broken, and Alaka is pretty much out. He needs a yellow flag. You know, all I'm going to see is Mamma Mia.
Here comes more pit stops, by the way, coming down pit road. That's going to be Alex Hillman and others here. Ooh. Oh, contact. That's Brett Adams. That's Alex Hillman, I believe. Wow, that's going to be a big impact to both those drivers who led a bunch of laps here as far as their chances of winning this race, because they will leave by themselves now off pit road. The rest of this pack will leave them behind.
Not only that, they will have a black flag for sure.
Let's take a look at that. That's a great question. I actually do not see any scored. They were already on pit road, so I'm pretty sure they might be safe. We'll take a look. We'll keep an eye on that as the race goes on here, but here is now back on track. Now, at least a couple of these trucks, by the way, here, Lorenzo, are people who pitted under that caution with Andrew Sharp leading the field. So let's see how this fares out. And look at this. Remember, we were once like 2 wide, 12 deep, it felt like. Now there's just 6 cars in a row.
It is that thing of what once was the big feud is going to become a minor feud of sorts, and this is where the coordination with the drivers is going to be eventually key. You can even see, I think that's the number 11 that is coming out right in front of them. So the potential of being a lap down is that sure, as you can see the 11:23 spinning at the entry. I think the 11 might actually, of Alex Silva might actually have a penalty for unsafe pit entry.
We'll take a look at that. Was pretty curious because the pit stops are not for a few stalls down from when they enter that line there, Lorenzo. There's not enough vehicles here to use every stall. So, yeah, the fact the 11 was so aggressive at getting to the bottom would be a little curious. Well, here we are now back, green flag racing. We've stayed green. Less than 9 minutes to go. That's Patrick Cowgill leading this group right here. That's 7th on back. They are pretty far back from the pack here. About, what, 40 seconds? Here's Marty Calvert 3 seconds ahead, but he has no draft. So they're going to swallow him up here in probably a lap or two, Lorenzo.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just trying to take a look at the lap delta between them. 47 for Sharp, 48.5 for Panzarella, but also that second group, 47.3, 47.4 is the current delta. Therefore, nearly that equal, but they're going to be caught up for sure.
Oh, yeah, they're coming fast. And the problem that's going to happen here for Calvert, look at that behind him. That's too wide racing
51.
behind him. So when they get up to him, Lorenzo, they're going to have to work out how to pass him safely here on probably what you think in the corners is when they're going to catch him.
Yeah, definitely coming out of turn number 4. Here's the
get the
thing,
lane.
though, 3 seconds slower.
Calvert moves to the top. Everyone's going to try to navigate this safely. Man, that was close. They almost rubbed paint right there. But he's in line. They did it.
Yeah, good coordination among everybody.
All right, well, here we are. 7.5 minutes to go. Not too far from what our regular commentator Justin Prince calls the point of no return. Meaning if a caution comes out, this race may be over. Long pace laps here, so not too far. Look at that. Andrew Sharp, I said having fun. He's now leading and a big, big smile on his face.
What do you think he wants right now? A yellow flag or a green flag all the way to the end? Because I don't think they have enough to fuel, though. I still think they are not safe to fuel.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's racing like they do, because if you think you have a fuel problem at Daytona, you don't get out here and lead unless you just think there's no way around it. So that's going to be the question to keep an eye on, is what happens with that fuel mileage. But right now, I mean, obviously the yellow would help him from fuel mileage, but a yellow stacks up the field again. Oh my goodness, who is that? That's not Panzarella behind him, is it? Wow, that was a big move on the bottom.
It looked like to be Byrne trying to make a little bit of a move on both Panzarella and Sharp. But not actually. Is that the 23 of Brad Adams? That is like the third car in this group that is trying to unlap himself down. I think right now it becomes the fight of the Lucky Dog if we get that's right.
That's Austin Hunter in the 27. That is got a little sketch there through the front straight. So we got a couple of lapped cars here. You got Austin Hunter, and I believe that to be Brett Adams right behind him, who had the contact on pit road. And then you have to get back to Zach Panzarella in that green machine. So 1, 2, 3 cars separates Andrew Sharp and Zach Panzarella. That may be what why Andrew had a big grin on his face, because he knows there's a little bit of a buffer here. Bottom of your screen, P8 Lorenzo. These are the drivers that have pitted. Now, some people would say that by being too wide racing like this, they're gaining nothing on the leaders.
Yeah, even though I'm just trying to take a look at the lap delta for them, it's nearly the same thing as the leader. The only difference, they're nearly a full lap count. Yeah,
you would think if they all get in line that science would tell you that draft would sort of carry you around, but when you're too wide racing. In fact, last time I looked up, I thought they were like 42 seconds back. Now they're 47, so not doing well here. Here's Brett Adams now up into the top lane, maybe trying to earn that lap back.
I think so, but look at the top lane right now. Adams unlapping himself. I think he's bringing the number 9 and 11 with to try to lap themselves down as well. And now he passes the ball to Panzarella, who's going to be the first car, to be in the bottom lane. They're going to kind of like hung out to drive for the time being.
So, for reference point, that is Panzarella in the top there, in sort of the back of the shot. That green machine right there, you see in that, he's sort of right in the middle of the bottom right there. Now right behind Sharp, there was a buffer between them. Now these lapped cars have sort of gotten in the way, and oh my gosh, they're going to catch more of them. Sharp now is pitting. They're a great call, Lorenzo. They did not have the gas. Andrew Sharp down pit road and in the grass. That is not good news, and that means Panzarella will assume the lead.
Not only that, I think Sharp gets a penalty. The car in the bottom, who's that? Is that Burnt that got himself in the fence?
Sharp
That
and Burnt, black flags. So that will effectively end their races.
Yeah, shame.
What happens here? Just too hot. Well, in fact, even worse for Sharp. I think for both for speeding, but yeah, worse for Sharp in the grass as well. So he may have 2 penalties. He may have speeding and unsafe pit entrance. We'll have to keep an eye on that. So he may be there a while. He might just want to camp out and watch the race. There's Tom Massey now, by the way, coming down pit road. So we'll see that.
Oh, is that Schmidt who's just spun out of the pit lane? Or Massey that just spun out of the pit lane? No, Massey spun out.
That's the 92 spinning on pit road. That's what you see there. That is Dylan Schmidt. Great call on that. Spun that truck around. Well, here we are, 3 minutes left. Panzarella is the last one not to pit. It's the last one who's not put it here. So right now, the question is who comes out where, right? How long are these pit stops? Who can do what? It might have been Sharp and Burnt, except they really threw away those races, Lorenzo.
Yeah. Is Panzarella going to risk it, though? We're gonna
Why not?
Coming in quick. He's going to come flying. Panzarella's going to do his pit stop.
There it is. Panzarella down pit road. Also almost in the grass, but got it saved. And I think down on... My goodness.
That was textbook.
Yeah, maybe a little sketch for my taste, but you're right. Gets it done. 2.5 minutes on the clock. Let's take a look here and see. Right now, no penalties on the board, Lorenzo. So everything we see happening on the track is live. No penalties, no race admins, no race control in control. So right now here, let me set it up for you. Tom Massey's technically in the lead right now once he comes around. That's him right there. However, the problem he has, Lorenzo, there's a herd of cars about 4 seconds back here with 2 minutes of racing left. I don't think he can hold them off.
No, he's not.
Here's Panzarella. Look at that. He touched the line, I think. That might be worth looking at. I thought he merged a little early up in the middle of that corner.
Oh, I think that.
But all is good. No black flags, so he might have barely escaped that fate right there.
Who's right behind him right now? Is that a Burn that is right behind you?
That is Burnt. They're on different laps. They're not equal spots, but Burnt could definitely get behind and help push here. But let's see if we can find our leader, because this is a story to watch. Technically, Panzarella's being scored as the leader, by the way. I am surprised by that. So that was our leader. I do apologize. Here's Tom Massey. He has 2 cars behind him, and now they're going to go around. That's not what a Massey needs.
1 minute.
This has turned into a 1970s fuel race, Lorenzo.
Yeah, that is insane.
Here we come. White flag this time by. That's Jennings up there in that black, yellow, and green machine. And Massey is getting swallowed up by the field. And Massey, hold on. Viking, we're done. There's Patrick Cowgill right there to this outside wall. We are done. Panzarella is going to be your race winner, Lorenzo, when the caution comes out at Daytona.
Yeah, I think everybody is trying to get a little bit squirrely and trying to find the best positions at the end of the race. And unfortunately, chaos happens with 2 to go. And with that being said, Panzarella with the master chef strategy to win this race. Well done for the number 12.
Well done for him, indeed. Panzarella, last season's champion. Let's take a look at the point of the caution here. So look at the bottom lane. That's going to be Nicholas Hunter on the bottom, I do believe. And they wrecked up top. Oh, man, that Patrick Cowgill got up on one wheel. Oof. Wow, wow, wow. Well, white flag is out. Panzarella is going to come around here. and slowly find the pace car here so that he can claim his victory. It just felt like once those trucks caught up to Tom and Massey, Lorenzo, they all caught him at a bad speed. Watch this here. And it sort of jumbled things up. Oh, man, I think maybe it's hard to say there. From that angle, it looks like Calgo came up, right?
Yeah, I agree. It's too fast to read, to be very honest.
Yeah, it's, and think about it. If it's hard for us to read as commentators, imagine how hard it is to read inside the cockpit. Well, here we are. Checkered flag is out. Barney the flagman doing his job vigorously, waving that flag for Zach Panzarella, the winner at Daytona. All right, well, I think the results are ready, Lorenzo's. We're going to take a look here and see a couple cars still spinning in the back here at Daytona. But results, I believe, are ready. Let's take a look at the unofficial race results here. So Zach Panzarella, part of DDI 44 Ever, is your winner. Nicholas Hunter will come in second. Tom Massey in third. Brandon Chatley in fourth. Marty Calvert in fifth. Patrick Cowgill, despite being up on one wheel, will finish P6. Steve Bammer in seventh. Doyle Lawrence in eighth. Kevin McGarvey in ninth. And Brett Adams rounds out your top 10. It's going to be Austin Hunter in 11th with Stacy Hunter in 12th. Alex Hillman, Zachary Burnt are the last cars on the lead lap. Then Mike Toomer, Baron Hilton, Andrew Sharp, and Antonio Bannister 1 lap down, followed by Dylan Schmidt and Will Jennings to round out your top 20. Then Matthew Alaka, Kyle Dewey, and Philip Beaver round out your 23 car field. That's a look top to bottom, Lorenzo, at how this race ended with the results unofficial. And man, what an exciting race all the way through.
Daytona always delivers, doesn't it? If we think about it, because it is always that kind of insane race, especially with the sprint format that we were doing over here. The field strategies always being those wonky ones. Maybe sometimes the early pit strategy might work you at the end, and that's what makes it at all interesting, as we're going to see Panzarella do a few donuts at the nearly 20 degrees of banking that he has around Daytona front straight in the tri-oval.
He does a few victory burnouts, and let's go ahead and talk to him right now. The winner of the race, Zach Panzarella. Zach, you pulled it off at Daytona.
Oh my God, guys, I cannot believe it. Daytona! Oh man, I'm so stoked. This means, I say it every time, this means so much though. Like, I don't consider myself a great super speedway racer at all. And we saw how close it was last year, how close it was between me and Nick. That stung, and to reverse it this year is pretty crazy. Oh my gosh.
Pretty crazy indeed. So talk us through, you had to pit, you kind of came down almost by yourself compared to most drivers. What was going through your head?
Yeah, so when that first caution came out, I was telling my team, Dylan and Tom, I was like, oh my God, guys, perfect. Exactly what happened at Talladega last year where I stole that second place. I was like, pit, take 10 on your margin on fuel, and we're never pitting again. And as that run went on, you know, I normally like to chill in the back, but I had a nice little bubble in like third and fourth on the inside there. So I was using that to save fuel, and I was able to save like a lap longer than my teammates and Andrew out there. But yeah, I'm not going to lie. I thought we'd have enough to make it to the end. I was wrong about that. And then when I pit, I was expecting to come out, you know, like 20th or something. And then I hear Tom say, oh my God, I'm leading. And I was like, wait a minute. All I have to do is come out in front of Tom. So that was, to be totally honest, not what I expected when I came out of the pits out there. But I'll take it. I'll take it.
I would take it indeed. Well, listen, great run tonight. We'll see what this does for your points. You get a big points day on Brett Adams, who finished P10. So what's the outlook for the rest of the season?
Thank you for letting me know. I had no idea where Brett finished. Just going to stay locked in, right? Like when I started this new season, ran 11th on that new truck setup. Was pretty upset with myself, like I said in that interview. And I genuinely felt like, uh-oh, did I take too much time off, get too cocky, and I'm about to get my butt whipped again? So I really locked in, really spent a ton of time practicing, trying to really understand this new truck setup. So I have my confidence back to where it needs to be. Every time I win a PRL race, I can't believe it. As you can tell, my voice is struggling. It's just, I mean, I just look forward to every freaking one of these races so much. They're so much fun. And I just am going to focus on having fun. I have my hardware, and I'm so grateful to have it. But it would not hurt to get more of that. And we're also racing for our overall standings. I'm not sure if you guys have access to that or have been showing it. But me and Patrick are in a pretty tight battle for the overall standings over the 3 seasons as well, because that's going to be some nice bonus points for the playoffs in S4. So really just trying to position myself nicely for the playoffs and the big trophy, I guess.
There you go. All right, well, good luck. We'll see you next week at Michigan. Anyone you want to say hello to or give a shout out to?
Yeah, what's up, Derek? Haven't talked to you in a minute. And I want to shout out Daily Drivers Inc., my team, my sim racing team. Tom on his first podium with Daily Drivers Inc. I'm beyond proud of you, Tom. You're a badass. He deserved it. He honestly probably deserved the win. Shout out to Dalton, Dylan. He ran a great race. If he had not had some pit issues, he would have been up there. We would have 1-2-3'd this thing. Shout out to Jose, Dominic, Chris, Graham, all the guys that make this team so special. Shout out to my events team doing all this work right now as we're about to embark on tour, about to hit a bunch of cities and states for our car shows. So thank you guys for working so hard so I can stay up late and work on my iRacing skills. Shout out to my family for watching, my beautiful fiance, all my friends out there watching. PRL for being my favorite league in the world and a league that I'm so proud of, and also RaceSpot for a broadcast that I am extremely excited to watch. Thank you guys all so much.
All right, well, Zach, great job tonight, and we'll see you in a week in Michigan.
Let's go, boys. Talk to you soon.
And that's the driver of that green machine, that Zach Panzarella comes out a winner, Lorenzo, but I believe you have caught up with P2 and Nicholas Hunter.
Yeah, so Nicholas, congratulations on that P2, and talk us through, man, what was going on with all the strategies and everything, trying to make the move right before the yellow flag came out, and then eventually come out on top, second place.
Hold on a second, Nicholas. Sorry, we're gonna have
I got you.
an audio
I got
issue
you.
here.
Howdy, producer.
Okay, now you can talk. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Now I can talk. Right. Hi, guys. So when what was your initial question? I'm sorry. Oh, how did it play out? So on that last corner, we were coming up on so many different lapped cars. I didn't know who was on the lead lap or what was happening. Looking back at the replay, I'm going like 5 miles faster than Amasi, to where I felt the safest option for me was going to go below the yellow. But I was not expecting the caution to happen right then and there. But this is something me and the stewards need to sit down, and I need to talk to Tom about it, figure out, what to do, what's legal and what's not going to be. As for pit strategy, I actually messed up my pits. I blew through my box. I had to quickly throw it in reverse and get it squared away. And I thought I had absolutely blew it until my teammates were pushing me from behind. I want to thank Chatley. I want to thank Patrick that was behind me. I wish Austin had a better run tonight. But yeah, it was a fun race. And I was really hoping we could go caution free just because of the travesty that was last week. But I'm okay with... Well, I haven't looked at everything, so right now I'm okay with how tonight's race went.
But to be very honest, what a race would it be of Daytona without caution flags, to be honest with you, Nick? But
I completely agree.
But going on that super speedway mindset, we're going from one super speedway to another super speedway in Michigan. Of course, completely different styles of super speedways, because Michigan is a little bit slower coming out of around the corners. You have to do tire management more so than you do at Daytona. How do you cope with the track that it has a super speedway feel, but also races like a normal 1 mile speedway?
I try to come each week with a fresh mindset, especially with how the truck model recently just changed. Each track is technically already fresh to me. So during that practice that we have prior to qualifying, that's when you start learning about tire management. Do I start lifting on my corners better? Do I start trail braking? It is all about that tire management, and especially the way I'm pushing these guys to go caution free. Tire strategy is definitely something to keep on the radar.
Absolutely. And with that being said, Nick, we're gonna let you go for now. Enjoy the second place, and we'll see you in next week in Michigan.
Hey, thanks for the talk. I want to thank Waterback. I want to thank PRL. I want to thank my wife, everyone who puts up with me. Thank you very much, and see you guys next time.
Absolutely. Derek.
There's Nick Hunter. Hopefully we'll see him in a few minutes as he helps do some unofficial broadcast spotting here for the race we got upcoming in the Grand Nationals. But first, let's talk to Tom Massey. Tom finished P3 tonight. What a crazy ending.
Yeah, it was. We'll see what they end up with. I might have P2. It was a pass on the below the yellow line there for position at the end.
So overall, like, what are your thoughts? Like, obviously you were kind of out there, hung out to drive by yourself, and felt like those lap cars kind of left you behind. What were you expecting when those cars all got to you? Just to hold your line and hope it went okay?
Yeah. When I came out, we had to take a splash of gas, and I came out. There was nobody drafting, and those two lap trucks came up behind me. And I was hoping for some help, and then the other pack got a run on them, so they did the right thing. They moved up out of the way, and I was just going to hold my line. I wasn't, I'm not raced for position. I just was going to stay in my course.
Well, listen, whether it's P3 or P2, it's a great run tonight. Congratulations on that. Anyone you want to say hello to or give a shout out to?
Oh, my teammates, DDI Motorsports. We worked really hard together tonight. It was a team effort. Unfortunately, Dylan didn't get into pits out of it, cleanly, but he would have been there also in the top 5 for sure.
All right, well, listen, Tom, it was a great run. Pleasure watching you race every week, and we'll see you next week.
Okay, thank you, guys.
All right, that is Tom Massey, and that rounds out our interviews for this truck race. Lorenzo, what's your one or two last quick thoughts before we move on to our Grand National race?
Well, Daytona, like I said, always delivers, and we'll see what Michigan brings because, like I said before, super speedway with the mindset of a normal 1 mile speedway. Tire management is going to be important. I want to see how Cowbell bounces back from this one. So it's going to be an interesting round to watch on in next week.
I agree. Well, as Lorenzo said, 1 week from tonight, right here at 8:30 Eastern on Michigan International Speedway for the trucks. But now, Lorenzo, it's time to slow things down a little bit here. We're going to go from the home of the Gators to the home of the Wildcats. It's time for the Grand National Series here live on RaceSpot, the Precision Racing League Grand National Series, and we'll be live at the virtual Kentucky Speedway. See a nice little B-roll shot of it from up above here, and Lorenzo, this is you couldn't get too much different here. Look at this: Kentucky Week 4, Lucas Oil or IRP or O'Reilly or whatever you want to call it in Week 5, Chicagoland Week 6. Then it's Michigan Daytona. They have it backwards, and then Darlington ends out the season here in Week 9.
It's kind of a crazy schedule to think about it, doesn't it? Because you have very tricky and very technical speedways at the early mid portions of the season. You go into Kentucky, then Lucas Oil, then Chicagoland. They're all very challenging, and they all require tire management. Especially at Lucas Oil, I don't think it's going to be that much of a tire management because it is not as long as Kentucky and Chicagoland, but it's going to be quite complicated for you to navigate on. But after that, you go to the Michigan, Daytona, and Darlington. It's all hell breaks loose of sorts. So
I would agree.
Survival of the fittest.
I would agree. Well, speaking of survival of the fittest, let's take a look at the points here. It's a tie at the top of the board. Abner Acosta currently wins the tiebreaker. They're both 135 points. Bradley Holly, 13 points back. And then Jeff Ward, Ted Lowendick also rounds out your top 5. Ross Cano, James O'Brien, Thomas Sink, Dustin Bumgarner, and James Morgan 3 round out your top 10. Let's take a look at the points real quick for teams before we get into qualifying. It is private label Team Hype with Whataback Racing TNT in second, Hyperion in third, Tabata Rasa Esports in fourth with Whataback Racing Overdrive, then Six Box, Back Row, Start and Park, Bluegrass, and Fast Forward Esports, the top 10 in the point standings. Lorenzo, let's get live onto the track and watch some qualifying as it happens. This right here is the 72. I believe this to be Ted Lowendick on track. And here he is trying to set a qualifying lap at Kentucky.
Yeah, so Kentucky is not a lap that I'm usually familiar with and how it runs. And sometimes they try to use that bottom lane, try to go below the lane and then come back into the normal lane and get those laps in. It is a very technical track of sorts. It's not easy for you to go on. But the one thing you really don't want to be doing is skid off as soon as you come to turn number 1 or turn number 3. because that's where everything can pick off. As you're going to see, Hartley doing a lap 31.6, which basically puts him about 39 hundredths of a second behind Abner Acosta at the lead.
Yep, there's Bradley Holly, P4 on the board. It's Acosta, Lowendick, O'Brien, and Holly. How it runs out. 25 seconds left on the clock. Hard to believe anyone else will get a lap in. Let's see if this one counts for Holly. It would be good if it's on time. Gets that machine well about a 4 and back down here. Uses that apron. And he got a better lap. I don't think so. He's by 100th. So barely, but not enough to. Oh, he got third. I take that back. He got James O'Brien. I just assumed that 1/100th would not be enough, but it definitely was. Here's Doug Evans. Not enough time. And the grid is set for this race in the Bluegrass State. Let's take a look here how they're going to line it up. It's going to be Abner Acosta, your points leader, in first. Ted Lowendick in the 72 machine in second. Bradley Holly and James O'Brien rounds out your top 3 and 4, with James Morgan and Jeff Evans rounding out your top 6. Colton Lane and Thomas Sink 7th and 8th, with Zach Kerr and Ross Cato rounding out your top 10. And then row 6, Rodrigo Morales and J.C. Evans. P13 is Mike Knight with Daniel Knight with back row in 14th. Dustin Bumgarner with Joshua Tellez in 15-16. Then Dalton Geyer and Nick McLaughlin 17th, 18th. And then Jose Medina, Adam Zemke, Jeff Ward, Mark Kalin, Paul Williams II, and Nathan Deering round out your top 24. And then it is Jacob Dunn not setting a time back in 25th, along with Doug Evans not getting a time in back in P26. Well, here we go, Lorenzo. A much slower race, probably a little bit calmer of a race, some would predict. But look at this. This is that new classic iRacing called a crooked start. What do you like to call this?
Yeah, you could. I would call the Le Mans-esque race style, start style, because they're all
like
lined
that.
up. But then again, I have to remind myself, Le Mans, they started on the kind of like on the opposite side of the road. They would start on the, if you look from that perspective, on the bottom side, it would be pointed out towards the other portion, the other.
Yeah, the hood would be towards the grass. What you're trying to say?
Yeah, basically. Sorry, it's late. It's late in the morning. For me.
Yeah,
So
time zones are always a thing in iRacing, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. So it's a little bit interesting. The only thing they don't have is drivers running towards the cars. I wish they had.
Gosh, wouldn't that be petrifying? Just, I know they used to do it in obviously in Le Mans, but wouldn't it be petrifying? Well, here we go. We're going to roll it off here down the grid. Talk about time zones. Let's talk about it. A few times to look at. First off, for me, 6:38 p.m. West Coast time, Portland, Oregon, USA. Lorenzo, what's it, 2:30 in the morning where you live?
2:38 in the evening, a.m.
There you go.
Or in the morning, whatever you prefer.
Which depends on if you've been to bed yet. Is how I like to look at that. What I think about that. And then other time to think about, virtual sim time, the time on the track you're looking at on the broadcast, 3:57 p.m. on the 27th of July. And that is a hot track. 118 degrees Fahrenheit. That's what, Lorenzo, about 42 degrees Celsius, I do believe.
Yeah, something like it. That's where, we know for a fact that tire management, again, is going to be key to try to have a good longevity on your stint and retain positions in the race.
All right, well, now we're going to see what Abner Acosta can do with this car, known as Mr. Long Run. So he's hoping for no cautions in this race. A track that quickly has come and gone in the NASCAR Cup Series off the schedule. He's hosting tonight's Grand National race here for the Precision Racing League. This beautiful 1.5-mile facility known as Kentucky Speedway. Here we are, Bluegrass State, green walls, yellow car leading, and any moment now, when Barney the Flagman says so, we will be green flag racing at Kentucky. Here we are, almost one lap completed at Kentucky. Got one car loose in the back. That was Rodrigo Morales. You may have seen in the back of one of the camera shots there, having a loose race car. But we're going to stay green here through the first lap. 55 minutes on the board, Lorenzo, is what we're racing this series.
Yeah, a little bit longer, and that's where it kind of like opens up the window for strategy a little bit more, especially in short tracks like this. Wondering how, like I said before, the key here is manage the tires, surviving the whole, dirty air effect, not a lot of banking at a Kentucky for you to be concerned about. Of course, there was a little bit of a repavement off Kentucky that eased up the longevity of the tires. But other than that, we know that in this track, dirty air is a bad thing. Clean air is your best friend.
Right now, if you're Abner Acosta, you're loving the clean air, aren't you, as you're up front? But here's Colton Lane digging in here, almost on the bottom yellow line of the track, trying to get his way under what I believe to be Jeff Evans there in that bright pink machine. Jeff, of course, maybe his first or second race back since his trip overseas, and is now kind of one of the culprits, by the way, Lorenzo, that is leading a lot of activity across Whataback Racing in NCAA College Football 25.
Oh man, I need to play that game soon. I need to get myself a PlayStation 5 someday.
You need to get an Xbox.
Yeah, I have Xbox Game Pass, so I'm safe on that route.
Well, here we are. Speaking of being safe on the route, we're a few minutes in already. Everything is pretty safe on this route known as the Kentucky Speedway. Looking back from Abner Acosta, you see nothing but Ted Lowendick's hood in that back camera shot here. Ted is doing an amazing job of just keeping the pressure onto Abner Acosta.
Yeah, I think right now it's going to be those things. Close racing between everybody. In that bottom lane is going to be very strong for everybody. Maybe the top lane might actually help you down the line whenever you go into, let's just say, lap 20 of your stint, to try to minimize any damage on the tires. And Emery just blinked. Okay.
I think we just had a little bit of connection problem for our leader. He's back, so we'll keep an eye on that. Let's see how that goes. Look at that big mover. That's James Morgan up to P4 in that big green machine there. He started, I believe, back in like P10 or so. That's a big move for Morgan.
Yeah, he absolutely is trying to move up the field, but in complete intention for the position right now against James O'Brien. Bryan is trying to push that car, that private label team hype car, but is not able to make moves. Meanwhile, Lowendick, high side for him, is not able to make the move for the time being.
No, not yet. Lowendick may just be content sitting here and just kind of riding and learning. We talk sometimes about there, are oval veterans in this league, and there are some drivers that are newer to ovals, like Ted Lowendick, for example, who has been doing this for about a year now in the ovals. But a track like Kentucky, we don't come to that often, Lorenzo. So maybe this may not be a new track for Ted, but definitely a newer track. He may still just be trying to kind of go to school on the back end of Abner Acosta.
Yeah. Wondering how much it's gonna do for him in terms of burning the tires up and wasting the tire wear like this. It's gonna probably heat up the front right and eventually down the line. That is this thing they have among the drivers is gonna just eventually open up.
Look at that. Up top was a 77 right there. That's that black and green and purple and yellow and everything in between car you see there in your camera shot. He was way up in the corner, so obviously he's just trying to make moves and figures he'll take tires later. But great moves, but almost having to check up here for that. Here's a battle for the lead. Ted Lowendick now to the outside has made the pass in Abner Acosta, new leader at Kentucky.
And also one thing we can argue is could this be the first season or the first year in PRL history that actually Acosta has some fierce competition at the Grand Nationals?
Oh, there's one through the grass. That's the 16. That's Dustin Bumgarner. That's a clean run there. I'll tell you what, the landscaper gets the day off tomorrow because Dustin Bumgarner just went ahead and mowed the lawn right there.
And kept it on a straight line. Oh,
yeah, that's even more impressive, right? Because that grass is not easy to maintain here in a stock car. So we'll wait and see if we can get a replay of what happened there. Of course, you mentioned Acosta's had some competition for a while, and let's see. Watch this first. Bumgarner's just going to get a little bit of contact, but getting loose as well. off the corner, made contact with the 77, and right through the grass, got it wound up, and did a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. We still see more side by side. That's the University of Kentucky car. That's
Jeff Ward.
Yeah, Jeff Ward right at the back. P17 trying to reach Nick McLaughlin, and McLaughlin not having the pass. Turn number 3 could potentially lose the position, but Ward also could lose the position to the guy right behind him in Adam Zenke as well. Good racing.
This really is almost home for Jeff Ward, by the way, Lorenzo. Not only does he have the University of Kentucky on the car, I believe he lives in Kentucky, and also he's a country music artist. The man has 4 albums on Apple Music and Spotify you can go listen to. He is a country music artist.
Nice.
So there you go. Now here's the battle for P7, 8, and 9. That's Jeff Evans, Colton Lane, and others involved in that battle right there, doing a great job. Now look at this, though. What I've noticed interesting, you talked about tires and conservation and saving and strategy. A lot of drivers are moving towards the top lane now. Oh, hold on. There's a bit of contact almost. Not contact, but close between Holly and Acosta.
And the thing is, you can see Acosta not fighting too much as well. He tries to get the run in, but doesn't. He knows he's not going to be able to make the turn, and kind of loses the momentum. He's going to open up to Morgan. I don't think he's going to fight Morgan way too much as well.
Yeah, the big question, can Morgan get around? We'll wait and see. Holly's doing a great job of just sort of blocking the lane, not directly blocking the lane, but it's kind of cutting off the access, if you will, to these corners. And here comes it again. Man, look how close Acosta is getting in that moment. That's the battle on back through the field. There's Jeff Ward. There's that 77 we talked about earlier, Joshua Tellez. There's Mark Kalin involved back there. This is the battle for 14, 15, and 16 here on this track. Well, Lorenzo, we're about 8 minutes in. Let's say a calmer race than the last one.
Yeah, much calmer race. But then again, there's the nature of the track of sorts. Only one incident. We can kind of, if we want to call it at that, right?
Only one as well. Here's Mark Cannon, part of Boss Man Racing, and that 62 machine. Mark also, I believe, to be a University of Kentucky. But I'm able to confirm that. Listen, when it comes to American college sports, if you call someone by the wrong, like a fan of the wrong college, that's Wildcats. Okay, that was a safe call. Listen, if you call someone a Wildcats fan and they like Tennessee or North Carolina or, other places, Duke even, you can start a war. So you got to be careful remembering someone's college allegiance. What is that for you guys? Is that like Premier League level rivalries? Is that what that is? Oh, hold on. Caution's out. We'll come back to that. Caution's out. That's the 7 machine right there. And that car was turned around and went ahead and towed back to pit road. That was Paul Williams, the second. And there's a car slow on track. That's the 23 of Doug Evans. No, sorry, that's not Doug Evans. That is, Rodrigo Morales. Well, let's take a look and see what happens here, because that was pretty sudden out of nowhere. We'll wait for the replay to load up here. Let's take a look and see what's going to happen. Look there on the screen. Oh, my goodness. What happened there, Lorenzo?
Why does it look like a wheel failure to me?
Yeah, I mean, it could. It depends on the wheel, right? Some wheels, if they disconnect with what you're saying, they'll snap to the right. Some snap to the left. So it really depends on your manufacturer. We'll come back to that. Here's pit stops. Lowendick leads them down. It's Lowendick, Holly, Acosta, and Morgan, your top 4. Everyone takes gas and tires.
Yeah. 4 tires and gas. I think this is going to be the blueprint for everybody. I don't think someone would try to put up 2 wheels. It would be a little bit of an overkill, especially given the fact that we could go for a potential green flag run all the rest of the way. And this might be the only pit stop of this race as well.
That's going to ask that question, Lorenzo. Do you believe if they pit right here? Now, of course, this sound repetitive. Do you believe if they pit right here that we're done? Or do you think they're going to have to pit again for a little bit more gas than what they get right here?
I still think they might need one splash and go.
I
But
will
it's
wait
a
and see.
thought.
Of course, as you hinted last race, caution laps can help that. So the more cautions we get, if we get more, that may change that answer. But right now, that's how it would come out. Well, let's see how the race off at pit road went. Right now, I believe it's going to be exactly the same. Lowen, Dick, Holly, Acosta. Oh, no. James O'Brien got ahead of James Morgan. So there's a spot change for 4th and 5th.
Yeah, the pit stop things.
Well, let's take a look here and see. I don't know. I mean, well, maybe later we'll get another replay. Look at that replay. You said that could be hardware failure. I don't know. It could just be maybe someone got the car loose and the car snapped around in the corner. But that was a massive, brutally wreck there between the 7 and the 23. So I suspect the race stewards will need to figure that out later, Lorenzo, and see what happens.
Yeah.
So I was talking to you a second ago, Lorenzo, about Kentucky and other things here. We got Justin Ellis, our producer, having a little fun with the bottom third of the broadcast. Thinks cats are scary.
Hold up.
This is
Can
from
I
Mark
just
Kalin.
can I chime in real quick? It's
Oh, please do.
It's not going to be my fault if Mark ever jumps into commentary again and completely destroys the Dustin after this.
Oh, no. Dustin asked for this. Dustin, I believe, is a
He
Tennessee Volunteer fan, so he's had a hard life already. So
Sheesh.
that moving here. So I was asking you, let's do this. We'll come back to that later.
I was going to ask, how long has the Tennessee Volunteers have been relevant, or they tried?
They beat Alabama a year and a half ago, and that's when they became relevant for the first time in forever.
I was going to say that, or for the first time ever since Peyton Manning was their quarterback.
They have a good basketball program, I believe. So we'll talk about that later. And no one cares about. So we're getting notes in our ears from Dustin Ellis, our producer, about Tennessee. No one cares about college baseball. Let's stop that slander right now.
The only thing that I cared about baseball was when Paul Skeens was actually the pitcher for LSU.
Well, I'll tell you what, the Wildcats are blue, the Volunteers are orange, the Roll Tide is red, but right now we're about to be green flag racing once again here at Kentucky. Massive jump from Lowendick. We'll need to look at that. I don't think he jumped. I think maybe someone got caught sleeping. So all is good. So Lowendick off to a massive lead, Lorenzo.
Yeah, and you're going to see maybe Acosta have a little bit of an upper edge.
Oh, y'all listen. Sorry to cut you off there. Caution's out. There's the 7 again involved, and I think the 68. Yep, there it is. That's going to be a Mike Knight. And I apologize for calling the 7. Apparently the 7 was not involved. We just got a weird camera shot of the 7 at that time. This is Mike Knight, though. He's definitely involved. Let's watch this here. And what's going to happen to him? We're going to get out a camera shot. I think he's got loose on. I think he's got loose all on his own. I don't think he had any contact there, Lorenzo.
I think he got aided because of the connection issue.
I don't know. Maybe so, but just because there's a connection problem, I want to wait and see if we get another look. But that connection problem doesn't mean someone hit him. It could just mean that that car was having troubles. But here we are. Here we are again. Caution number 2. About 15 minutes into this race, and in that moment, look at that.
3 cautions?
Yeah, more so than the last race, right? Look at that. Morgan got back around O'Brien, by the way, so he's now back to 4th. And let's watch this one more time. Yeah, see, he was loose, and then I think got some assistance from Jeff Ward, looks like.
Yeah, unfortunate to see that happen. Black Knight down.
Black Knight down, indeed. All right, well, let's have this conversation. I was asking you, in America, we have college sports. That really kind of dominates people's fandom and our allegiances and different matters. But for you guys across the pond, does that equate to like Premier League fandom, or what does that equate to? Do you know?
Ooh. Okay, I think it kind of equates to the Premier League levels of rivalries, or rugby levels, maybe of rivalries. If you're like Paul Smith down in England, in the boys right there. Don't get me wrong. Let me just say one thing over here. Hashtag Team Tar Heels, by the way.
Oh, that is a horrible take. Who let you in here? Yeah, that's wow. That's Team Tar Heels. That's awful.
I know. Don't pick at me. Don't go at me.
I need to get back to Monday nights with RSR when I get to race that with or commentate for some guys from the Ohio State University. That's the school right there. The Ohio State University. OHIO.
OHIO. Yeah, but I respect all teams, except when JJ Redick was actually the shooting guard for Duke Blue Devils. I used to hate him appropriately. Now he's coaching the Lakers. Oh, he's lost. Anyway, but coming back into sports, yeah, I think it is the equivalent of what the Premier League kind of does. But then again, I don't know if he has the same level of rivalries, despite the some of the schools being at the same age as some of the Premier League teams, like nearly 100 years old, right?
Oh yeah, some of those schools, some of the rivalries go forever. Ohio State, Michigan comes to mind. Many of them, Duke and North Carolina in basketball come to mind. There's a lot of great college rivalries. But there's a few rivalries lined up here in this PRL Grand National Series as well. A lot of points on the line tonight. Abner Acosta, of course, feels like the driver to beat. But he is being beat so far because right now Ted Lowendick is still in the lead.
Yeah. And that is not helping Abner's case one bit. But the problem is Zach Kerr is at 7th place. So far he's surviving the whole ordeal.
Yep, right now that is the case. So we'll wait and see. Of course, in the PRL, you get points for getting on the pole. That was Abner Acosta. You get a point for leading a lap. Acosta will get that. So will Lowendick. You get a point for the fastest lap of the race. And we'll get an update on that later. And actually, I can tell you right now on my screen, that would be Mike Knight, who's out of the race with a 31.918. And then, of course, you get points for how you race as well. We're going to come around again here. Now, you said you thought cautions could maybe take away that need for a fuel stop. Well, here's one of them. Now, as a driver, you have to feel more confident about your gas situation, right?
Yeah, you are. We had about 101 laps when this race was green. Now I have no idea how much that will be when that race starts. And who are looking right now? Bradley Holly.
That's Bradley Holly.
And his wonderful GoPro as webcam.
Yeah, his webcam strapped to the top of his headset. But here's the pop quiz. And we'll see now. You can see his screen's got the race in front of him. You got JRT up there in the top left, I believe, and a track map on the top right. But here's the pop quiz, Lorenzo. Name that shade of blue.
That shade of blue. I was gonna say cyan blue.
Oh, that's a good call. Nice call right there. And you'll notice, by the way,
cyan or teal blue.
I think it might not be teal. It's maybe a little too bright for teal, but that's a great call there. All right, well, here we are. Pace car lights are out. You look at Bradley Holly there on the camera. So it's going to be Lowendick, Holly, Acosta, Morgan, O'Brien, top 5. In that moment before the caution, I didn't notice, but you're right. Bradley Holly got around Abner Acosta. Acosta back to 3rd. All right, well, last time I used colors, and I was pretty proud of that transition. I don't know if I have one this time, Lorenzo, but we're about to go green again. And we're going to go on the leader. So whenever the leader wants to go, Ted Lowendick, the race control will be his. Once we get down to the Geico restart zone. See if we can get a greater jump as he did last time. Here we go. Pace cars down. And any moment now, Ted Lowendick controls the field. And here we go. We are green flag racing back. Oh, late jump there. Messing with me at Kentucky. All right, well, there we go. Bradenfield jump again. I was in the wrong restart zone. I apologize for my awkward transition there in that moment. But look at that, a beautiful jump again. Lowendick is really checking up the field on those starts, Lorenzo.
Oh, contact.
Oh, hold on. There's caution number 3. There's Jacob Dunn in a purple machine, barely avoiding it. That's Joshua Tellez. That's, I believe, the second time we've seen him in a moment tonight.
Yep, and looks like my theory is starting to prove true, right? Yellow breed yellows.
All right, well, there we go. Let's take a look at how they lined up. Acosta got around Holly. Lowendick is still up in first. We know that. Man, what a job Lowendick is doing by leading these starts, by the way. Watch this here. This is going to be the contact. There's a 77 up top. Does he just get loose? Oh, look at that. Just got loose. A little too aggressive on the pedal out of the corner, Lorenzo.
It's also the detrimental nature of these Grand National cars, isn't it? Because the cars, they are so... they are not as downforce capable as the Sprint Cup cars. They are more, what would you call it? Grassrootsy? Yeah, grassrootsy, looser than the Class A cars. Therefore, you are more reliable to go easier on the pedal, right? And unfortunately, that's the case. That wasn't the case.
That's Jacob Dunn, I believe. Look at that. Look how close Jacob Dunn came to making contact with a car there. But you're right. A lot of drivers in the community do believe, Lorenzo, that these are probably, by nature, by default, the loosest, or the cars most likely to oversteer of the Cup cars, the Grand Nationals, and the trucks. So that's a thing a lot of the community feels. So you do see that from time to time, but also you'll just see maybe drivers a little too aggressive. Remember, this track is hot. Let's take a look at the weather if we can and see if it's improved any. We're down to 112. Actually, I think we're right at 112. It's about where we were before. So this track is not changing. And that hot temperature leads to a loose racetrack, right?
Yeah, it does. But in the first lap as well, I think because of the cars have gone so long within the pace car and everything, right? I think it makes just those tires take a little bit longer for you to develop properly. We're gonna have a look from Jeff Evans from what it looks like to see what was the incident right in front of him. Cool. Yeah, low there and by there at the same time.
Yeah, that looks slow from the replay, but when you're Jeff Evans, that happened suddenly in front of you. There was no time. In fact, all Jeff Evans could do was maybe lift a little bit and just sort of hope that that car spun in front of him. I want to thank you so much for hanging out here live on RaceSpotTV and watching along with us here in the PRL. Remember, the PRL happens 4 nights a week, Lorenzo. Monday nights, it starts with the LMP3s and GT4s. And then we move on to the prototype, which is the GTP and the GT3s. We'll get a couple cars coming down pit road here. We'll keep them. That's Colton Lane in the 60 right there. And a couple others. Tuesday nights is all GT3 action. Back-to-back GT3 races. There's Paul Williams II coming down after his contact earlier. He'll get some more damage fixed. Wednesday nights, well, you're right here. That's Wednesday nights. That's the Grand Nationals and the trucks. Or I should say the trucks and the Grand Nationals in that order. And then Thursday nights, the newest PRL league, Lorenzo, is the MX-5s and the GR86s. And then we finish the week off with some Super Formula racing.
Gotta love me some MX-5 and GR86 mirroring what the production challenge does. I still miss the Jetta though. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, lots of feelings about that, but I'll say about that driver we saw last race, Andrew Sharp, was a big proponent of helping get the GR86s back on the schedule. Well, a couple notes here. Doug Evans got caught speeding on pit road, so he'll have a penalty to serve for that. Under yellow, it should just be a end of line for him. And then we'll wait and see anyone else. I think that's the only penalty I got. So, Doug Evans, the back of the line.
Unfortunate to see that happen.
And tell you, it's frustrating as a driver, isn't it, Lorenzo? Because, I mean, pit road speed around here in miles per hour is 45 miles an hour. And it's always frustrating when you get caught speeding.
Yeah, and it's not one of the fastest. Also, I think it is right around the NASCAR average, if I remember correctly. Because the NASCAR average in all tracks usually goes around 45 to 46, 48 miles per hour. So
yeah, that's right. About 45 is probably the average. I was thinking last race at Daytona was 60. Some of our short tracks are 35. You're right, 45. Is there. The Abner Acosta is up to P2, by the way. Let's run it down real quick. It's Lowendick, Acosta, Holly, O'Brien, Kerr, James Morgan, Cato, Sink, Ward, and Jeff Evans, your top 10. So here we go. Do you think Lowendick will sort of check up that field again? Or is he going to have to do something different on this restart, Lorenzo?
Oh, he's going to check up everybody again. For sure.
All right, well, let's see what happens. He will control the start. Once it happens, I will predict the correct restart zone this time. I will not get confused by the 2 different markings on the track. So we'll watch that here. Well, we're about 29 minutes to go, so we're getting to that halfway point of the race. So time is still quickly ticking away. Just unfortunately for these drivers under the yellow flag. Well, here we go. Abner Acosta trying to stick up front. Pace car's down. Lowendick's going to wait and wait and wait. This is not the zero start zone, pardon me. That's what got me last time. We're looking for the next one right here. And they're green flag racing. And Lowendick again out to the lead. Holly with a great jump up to P2. So it's Lowendick, Holly, Acosta, your top 3.
Yeah, looking for anything in the middle, back, off the pack to see if we can trigger more yellow flags, but it doesn't look like it. Everybody getting away unscathed. Good thing. Good restart for now.
Correction to a comment from earlier, not sure why. Doug Evans pitting, so he must have a separate penalty than just speeding, Lorenzo, because he is pitting under green to serve a penalty.
Yeah, unfortunate to see that happen, to see the number 41 coming in right now, and is going to serve a potential drive-through or 1-second penalty. Be held in the lane.
He's the only driver hoping for a yellow flag right now so that he cannot go a lap down. But we'll keep green flag racing here. We're going to watch on through the field, different battles happen. That's the fun of Kentucky. Every battle may not be for the lead, Lorenzo, easy for me to say, but every battle matters. Oh, 3 wide.
Yeah, every single one matters, and now making it 3 wide is not going to help somebody to turn number 1.
That's Evans in the middle. That's Kalen on the bottom. That's a 48 on the outside. And Bradley Holly just took the fastest lap away from Mike Knight.
And can I just mention another thing as we see Doug Evans coming out? Zach Kerr in front of Acosta.
Yeah, I noticed that earlier in the start and didn't get to call it, but you're right. Zach Kerr has made a bunch of moves here on these restarts, now up to P3 and wants to cut into that points lead.
Yeah, absolutely. And now the private label team hype guys trying to figure out how to get in front of them. You can see those top 3 starting to run away. As even though Will Bryan did the best lap of the race so far.
Those are teammates side by side right there. And there's James Morgan wants to get involved. But that's O'Brien and Acosta, both part of private label team hype. And now O'Brien gets up front. Kerr's, by the way, up in front of Holly now. Lots of movement across the track. You see it on the left side of your screen. When the tracker goes green and red, that means drivers are moving up and down the field. And Kerr is up to P2.
Kerr driving with a little bit of sense of urgency of sorts since his direct competition in the championship is not right in front of him. It's actually behind him. And more points you can take away from your competition, the merrier.
Yeah, every point matters. We've seen it happen many and many times in the PRL when seasons are decided by points and single points or single-digit points at least. So every point does matter. That's Abner Acosta in the 5 machine back in line here. He is currently right now running in P6. And there's the leaders and the movers and shakers, the gainers and losers, we're going to call it. Look at that, Jeff Ward up 14 here at Kentucky.
Jeff Ward having a really good race so far. A good recovery race of sorts, coming from the back all the way up and slowly figuring into the top 10 and further into the top 10. You can see Acosta not right in front, far in front of him, even though he was the biggest gainer, the number 89 in this race so far.
Man, looks like maybe that University of Kentucky paint scheme is giving some extra power to both Ward and Kalen today. Maybe some more drivers want to go down pit road and get this fixed. But here, look at that change for the lead. Zach Kerr, yes, sir, is up in front. Ted Lowendick.
Yes, sir.
Look at that. And sir, I mean, Kerr is pulled away. Like, that's already, 0.2 of a second. That's a big gap to just get around your leader.
Yeah, not only that, you have a nearly 5-car cushion in between you and Acosta, right? You have Lowendick, Holly, O'Brien, and Morgan all close one together and try to get closer to one another, even though the first car that looks like to be more aggressive out of the gate, which is Morgan right there, might actually finally find the run and try to make that overtake on the outside coming into turn number 1, even though it got blocked in at the entry of turn number 1.
that top of Rossi Esports car would have had like one more layer of decals on it, he might have scrubbed the wall there before that corner, Lorenzo. That was tight. This is sort of a bit of a rebound for Morgan. Had a great season back in Season 1. Really, really competitive in the points. Season 2, not so much. This is kind of great to see Morgan bouncing back here. This is the battle now for P2. This is now Holly and Lowendick. And they're side by side. It's Lowendick at the line. But Holly, I believe, will get the inside run here in the turn number 1.
Yeah, Holly.
And they're closing on Kerr.
Yeah, they are, but it's not a massive closure. Kerr was actually faster by 0.43 of a second over Holly the previous lap, and nearly 0.2 over Lowendick on the previous lap.
Right now, what Holly and Lowendick and others need to do is get this sorted out. The more and more you are single file, as Morgan gets around O'Brien here, the more and more you're double wide, the more you could possibly let this leader get away from you. But right now, they're doing a pretty good job of managing that.
Yeah. I wonder right now if some of these drivers are thinking about maybe longevity and not pushing the tires way too much and make sure the tread of the front rights and right sides don't get overstretched early on in this race. We know we got to push everything and give it your all every single lap that you go in, but you don't want to kill the momentum already early on.
Yep, there's the number 3 of Jacob Dunn. Battling that back Jeff Evans. Now back to the lead here again, because Lowendick is now trying to take the lead back from Zach Kerr. Lowendick's got a little bit of help from Bradley Holly. That little bit of draft he could get here on this back straight, he's going to get from Bradley Holly, but nope. So far, Zach Kerr maintains the lead here in the 3 and 4, and the battle is on.
Yeah, just wondering where does Lowendick find the opening to make that overtake work? Because you can see everybody else behind starting to catch up a little bit. Last lap, Kerr is slower, nearly slower than everybody else.
All right, let's take a look here. We'll watch the battle here. We're hearing about some slow cars on the track. Nothing that's affecting the racing so far, but we'll keep an eye on it. Oh, there it is. That's Lowendick got contact into the back of Kerr. And wow, what a great save.
Yeah, domino effect between him, Kerr, and
Bradley
Holly. Holly actually,
yeah.
Holly pushed him out.
Let's go back and watch this here. Let's watch the 9 car. And that's JC Evans. And I think he made contact a little bit with Jacob Dunn and then got way into the inside. And it's okay. It's definitely slow, but kept racing. I could tell maybe he made contact with Dunn or if it just got really close. This is Abner Acosta back in that yellow and black P5. Back in P7, that's getting passed by Jeff Ward barely. Man, like a note card or an index card is all the gap they had there. Now look at this Jeff Ward now to the inside of James Morgan. Ward talked in an interview last week about this being his home track, and man, he seems to be doing really strong here.
Yeah, we just don't want to jinx him already early on. Halfway point of the race, more than halfway already driven in this race. So that's where you got to start to find yourself in the track, right? You need to have the perfect spots and opportunities for you to move up, and Ward is actually definitely trying to find that and riding that apron as much as he can to his benefit.
Lots going on right here. You saw James O'Brien trying to find his way around Bradley Holly, but now O'Brien's high. Now Ward is now under O'Brien. Ward is on the move.
He is. He's pushing that car in. Last
now the
lap,
problem you talked. I'm sorry.
I
was going to say, come back to a problem you talked about, which is that you talked about conservation of tires. I'm going to go on a limb here, Lorenzo. Jeff Ward's not conserving tires.
No, not at all. He's definitely pushing that car in and trying to stay that. I think what he's trying to do it as a counteract to mitigate the damage of the front right is trying to ride the low lane as much as he can, right? I think that is helping him a little bit. And the car is not going off angle. It's not skidding out of the corners. That's for him is important. Just looking at the lap delta, it's equal between everybody.
Now, the question I would have, and what we're all going to know by watching the race happen, if we stay green for 19 and a half more minutes, does Jeff Ward eventually fall off? That'll be the question in everyone's mind. Jeff Ward may be the only driver praying for a yellow right now so he can put new tires on, because he might be in a really bad spot here in about 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing is nearly everybody on the same lap delta for tires as well. So there is no driver that is overperforming over A driver performing over B driver due to tires so far.
No, I agree. Yeah, you're exactly correct. Everyone's basically even. Now it's just a matter of how you use them, what you're doing with them, and how much is left maybe as this race goes on. Well, let's take a look here. It's still Zach Kerr up front, Lowen Dixon second, Bradley Hodgson third, O'Brien and Jeff Ward round out your top 5. Then it's Morgan, Acosta, Kalen, Cato, and oh my gosh, Daniel Knight. And Teddy looked in the bottom there and realized he wasn't going to make that car stick.
And you can see Acosta.
Oh my gosh, Abner Acosta 3 wide here. That's going to be Mark Keelan on the bottom, James Morgan up top, and Abner Acosta in the middle. That sandwich. So they let Keelan by, but able to hold off Morgan.
Yeah, so far not working as they probably wanted to work.
You know, it's interesting to note here real quick as we have a moment for Mark Kalin. Lorenzo, there are certain tracks we like to call Mark Kalin tracks. It's just these old kind of classic driver technique tracks like a Kentucky where Mark Kalin seems to shine. And look at this here, a great run for Kalin up to P6 in the 62 machine.
Yeah, so this could actually be one of his tracks. Normally Mark is a really good driver that eventually rises up on these 1 mile, 1.5 mile courses. So this could definitely be his calling right here, and in the blue of the Wildcats probably moving him forward.
Yeah, definitely helping probably a little bit with the hometown advantage. Now here's the question I have. We talked about Jeff Ward with the tires. Now I know we talked about how cautions help you save gas, but do you think maybe someone charging as hard as Jeff Ward might be burning too much gas?
I don't think so. I think everybody's safe on the same number in terms of fuel, so I wouldn't be too overly concerned on that matter.
All right, well, only time will tell here. About a little less than 17 minutes to go. That's Kalin right there, and that's James Morgan behind him, and that's going to be Ross Cato, that white and orange machine. You see him from up top here. Beautiful kind of chopper camera shot. Let's flip it around there, but this is our blimp shot, I'm being told. I apologize. This is a shot from the blimp here. And I don't think that is exactly is that a Home Depot car from Ross Cato, but tell you what, from up top, Lorenzo, it's got the color of the Tennessee Volunteers.
It is the Home Depot.
Well, the race certainly has now started to calm down a little bit. We've kind of gotten some of the car contact out of the way. Now it's all about driver technique. We get down to the 16-minute mark here. And let's see if Ted Lowendick can make another move. Nope, it's going to back it off here. Goes a little high, but will not make the pass here in this moment.
Yeah, but you can see everybody still scrounging to find positions and openings around the track.
Hold on, there it is. He dug it in there into turn 1 and trying to make it. He's going to have to pull the slide job. Here comes Lorenzo. Slide it up there. Is he clear? No, he's side by side. He hopefully will clear it down into 3. Let's find out here. Kerr, the better run. They're still side by side through 3. Now out of 4. It's Kerr. It's Lowendick. It's tight racing at Kentucky Speedway. Let's come around out of 4. Still 15 minutes to go. It would be Kerr at the line, but we're not done yet.
I think there was a moment right there on the infield that kind of make Lowendick's tires get a little bit skittish. That probably what caused the momentum loss coming into the exit of number 2 and allowed Kurt to stay on that outside lane and make the overtake and retain that P1 once again with 14 minutes and 45 seconds to go.
Yeah, Kurt's also doing a great job of sort of shutting the door and not letting Lowendick track that car out. That'll kill how much speed you can get out of the corner as well. So now we're back to single file. Kerr, Lowendick, Holly, Ward, and O'Brien, your top 5. You see the purple name on James O'Brien on the broadcast feed on the top left. That means O'Brien has the fastest lap of the race at the 31.771. That is an impressively fast time.
Sure is. Funny enough, also is the drop off. There is a 2-second drop off, but it doesn't look like it is a 2-second drop off from the fastest lap to these laps they are doing right now, doesn't it?
No, it really doesn't. Doesn't feel that way either. Here's Colton Lane, by the way, back in P12. Oh my goodness, who was that? Was that the 48? Let's scrub the wall, but we're all good. Being told Colton Lane has the newest tires of note on the track. Nothing any bigger of advantage, but definitely newer tires. Here it is again. Lowendick now to the bottom of 3 and 4. Going to try to make it sick. Not going to make it happen here. Can I tell you that from that advantage? Zach Kerr will maintain the lead. I think. Whew. And don't look now. Enter Jeff Ward. A new challenger has entered the arena.
Powered by Kentucky Wildcats. Not Kentucky Fried Chicken.
I mean, I like that too, but no, not the same thing. But here we go. Ward now down to the bottom of 3 and 4 is now going to make the run here. Try to get under Holly, as they're almost 3 wide here at Kentucky. They're going to get it sorted out to 2 wide. But Ward's going to try to make the move. He'll stay side by side. They a little bit of contact. Here's Lowendick now for the pass. These guys are not calming down. 13 minutes to go, and we are side by side, 2 by 2.
Yeah, well, we're... Oh, a little bit of a skip for Lowendick coming out of turn number 2. Gives the momentum to Kerr again, and Ward is going to be blocked out into the entry of the corner and nearly door to door against the 184 of Bradley Holly.
And Lowendick also slid up in front of Bradley Holly as well, so lots of small things happening here. You see Acosta and O'Brien watching from the back, just trying to pick their targets, make their move when necessary. But here's Jeff Ward now ahead of Holly, now making the run on Lowendick. He'll probably clear him here down in the 3. Let's find out down the back straight. And yes, looks like he possibly will clear him. He's got Zach Kerr right in front of him. And Jeff Ward now P2. Not yet, but basically P2 at Kentucky.
3 wide.
As you called it, 3 wide for the lead here. Look at this. Jeff Ward now gets way to the bottom. Kerr lifts a little bit. And Jeff Ward now gets a run off of 2. Has him both clear. No, not clear. Not clear. Help make contact there with Kerr. Now he's clear. And now, for the moment, we'll assume the lead here with 11 and a half minutes to go. My goodness. Watch this here. Be a couple things to look at. Watch this moment here. This was that battle you saw a moment ago when everyone started getting loose. Wow, look at that. Bradley Holly had to wiggle that wheel really hard to keep it straight.
And you can see now Ward trying to break away a little bit. And who's in third out of the blue? I nearly said the F4 just because this is exciting. Having Acosta saying hello. Now past that Kerr for third. Now Kerr dropping back.
Kerr dropping back pretty fast here, back to P5. The first time in a while he's had to deal with traffic. I wonder if he has a little bit of damage from that contact. We'll have to wait and see, or maybe he just got a little rattled by that contact. Lorenzo, when you are racing in that moment and that contact happens, how hard can it rattle a driver?
A lot. It might take a while for him to, get his nerves back, especially how hard has been the racing around the track. And you can see now Mark Kalin trying to move on the inside. And so, let's just say you lose one position, then maybe it's okay. I can get back. Okay, let's get back into the groove. But if it is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positions and you don't know what's going on, well,
man, that was just a moment there.
Somehow made it all stick. I was going to say he was not clear coming out of turn number 2, by the way.
No, definitely was not clear. You're right. And just that momentary knowledge maybe wasn't there of what was going on. But we stay green here. It's now Ward, Lowendick, Acosta, Holly, and O'Brien top 5.
Still good racing nevertheless. It's interesting to think of. This is racing like a pack race of sorts, doesn't it? Instead of more of a 1 mile-esque race where everybody kind of like breaks off and you have your packs of racing around the track, and only the mid portion of the field gets more racing than the front.
So lots of questions to be answered next 9 minutes, Lorenzo. You have to ask, does people still need fuel? Are people going to run out of tires per se? Can people hold on to their spots? Lots of questions to be answered in the next 9 minutes. We're going to do it here live on RaceSpotTV.
I like what they're cooking, though.
I'll tell you what is cooking right now is Jeff Ward. That pot is boiling over because he has a half-second lead, Lorenzo. He has cooked himself up here into the lead. But look at this, Abner Acosta now side-by-side with Ted Lowendick. And they need to get this sorted out quickly. If Abner gets ahead here, he might have some reward. But the longer they're side-by-side, the happier Jeff Ward gets.
Oh yeah, now I think at this point of the race where we're gonna maybe see the cars breaking off a little bit, even though they're gonna get more racy. I think the one thing you really want to be is racy lap after lap. You want to maybe deal with a situation that you might just find yourself in within what, maybe 2 to 3 laps tops, because after that it might become irrecoverable, the difference or the gap that you're probably creating or allowing yourself to be created by the guys in front.
Well, you know what? I was wrong earlier. I asked you if I thought maybe that Jeff Ward had burned up those tires getting to the front. He has not. He's still leading. But here's a pass side by side. This is O'Brien and Holly. It's that bright green machine of Holly, pardon me, on the outside. O'Brien on the inside. They're still side by side. Behind him, it's Cato, Kalen, Morgan, and others.
Contact.
A little bit of contact indeed. Everyone's safe. Maybe just trying to use the whole 8 tires are better than 4 strategy. But we're still green. We're still good here with 7.5 minutes to go.
And there's still some uncertainty to see if everybody can actually make it within the field as well. But from the way they're racing, it looks like they are.
Yeah, they're certainly acting like it's either they know they can make it or they know it's just impossible not, to you're going to have to pit regardless, what I'm trying to say. They must know that it's, either safe or so unsafe that there's no way to conserve it.
Yeah, the question is, do they have tires to make it last until the end of the race and still be competitive?
These guys are running bald at this point. There's no stopping for tires unless you have to. But right now it's Ward, Lowendick, Acosta. And last week, remember, it was Acosta, Ward, Holly 1, 2, 3. So Jeff Ward finished second last week. We'll see if he can improve that spot, finish 1 spot higher in P1 this week. But here comes Abner. Abner's around Lowendick here. 6.5 minutes on the board. Now he gets to go run down the race leader and try and win this race. Well, maybe not. I spoke too soon because here comes Lowendick, Lorenzo, and he is at least making a fight of it, even if he's not going to get back up in that spot.
Yeah, absolutely. He's giving it his all, but you can see the car starts skidding a little bit. I think what Acosta was doing the tire saving, he helped them a little bit on the long run, because you can see Kerr's at 10th place is right in front of these guys, Daniel Knight and Jeff Evans, as Jeff might actually make the overtake. We're still side by side. The 17 gets a little bit loose on the top lane, but you can see how much as Kerr didn't care about his tires way too much in this race.
That's the battle for 11th and 12th. You see right there, that's Zach Kerr. Fought all the way back to P10, Lorenzo. Remember, 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, he was P1.
Yeah. It's insane how one race shifts just because how much you use those tires. And Kerr, unfortunately, being the victim on this ordeal.
Now on screen you see the lap count difference and the lap time difference, between Ward and Acosta. Lap 70, Ward was better. 71, Acosta by about 1/10 of a second. And then lap 72, less than 1/10 of a second. So Acosta is slowly closing that gap. We'll see what they can do. Look at them running different lines here, Lorenzo. Acosta all the way to the bottom of the track. Ward sort of running the middle.
Yeah, I think right now for Ward is me. is trying to save as much of the tires as he can, because I think he burned up way too much on the long run. You can even see Acosta coming in close on the entry, and Ward just taking a middle low line to try to minimize the damage of this tire. So overusing too much to try to get the overtakes done.
Well, right now, here it goes. Here's the pass. Acosta now down to the bottom. And I agree. Ward still looks like he's having a hard time with that car. There's a car up top. That's a lapped car, I do believe. So that's not involved. And still Ward. Right now, if you're Jeff Ward, you're praying for the yellow, because we are at that point of no return, Lorenzo. Hold on. There it is. Colton Lane in the grass. Nope. We're going to say green. There's James Morgan in the grass. We're still going to race it green. If you're Jeff Ward, that was your great chance, though, because that would be the race. We're less than 4 minutes to go. There's no way we get it all lined up again.
Holy moly. You nearly done the Lorenzo.
I nearly did it, didn't I? I nearly put it out in the universe. Watch it here. That's Morgan up top. Oh, got contact from Colton Lane. And yeah, they got it down to the grass way too quick. So the race admin say, nope, it's in the grass. It's not racing surface. We can stay green.
Yeah, from the looks of it, I think Lane just came up way too high around the corner and unfortunately made contact with the number 12.
And what a shame for Morgan, by the way. Been running up top 5 all day for the most part. Slipped back a little bit towards the end, but now we'll be way back in the running order here. You see a couple battles happening across your screen here. This is going to be P9 through on back. That's Zach Kerr up in front and others here. Right now, I can say nothing's changed for the lead. You're not missing anything up front. So if it happens, we'll get back up there. There it is. That's the 57, I should say. And so nothing's changing. Still lots of beautiful racing. There's 3 wide. 2.5 minutes to go here on the clock. And Abner Acosta has to get a move on. And he is now down to less than 1/10 of a second. Here he is at the bottom of the track.
I think what is benefiting Ward on these runs is that that high line is having more grip coming out of the corner. And because he's doing the job right of, stay in the middle low lane, kind of give the entry to turn number 3 and 4 for Acosta to move forward. I think he's just Acosta trying to, he needs to pressure prior to the entry of the corner to make sure that Ward skids out for something like it. You're going to see now how Ward cooks out of the corner. He cooks it much better than Acosta, even though Acosta got slightly squiggly coming out of 4.
Yeah, both drivers squiggly at different points in that corner, so it sort of levels off at the moment here. 1:45 on the clock, only a few laps left. Acosta's now going to try the high side. Doesn't work. He'll fall back. Or now see how he handles the bottom of that corner. Goes way up and tracks out like a beautiful run there out of that corner. 89 Machine's now got it back out to about 1/10 of a second here over Acosta. Acosta now back here to the bottom of the corner. This is 3 and 4. Ward is way higher, gets a better run out of the corner and keeps Acosta at bay. We're going to cross the line with about 1:12 on the clock. Probably 3 laps to go in this race.
Yeah, it's going to be 3 to go, and I think Acosta's going to get aggressive with 2 to go. If he's not aggressive out of the exit of this corner, if the Ward got slightly off angle coming out of the corner, might open the door for Acosta. Here we go.
Oh, here it is. That's a great call. Acosta got very aggressive here in that corner. Dug it way deep down to the yellow line. But again, touch that yellow is going to get a little loose. And now they're side by side to the line. They're going to come across the start-finish line with Ward leading. 2 laps to go here at Kentucky.
I think the fact they're side by side might benefit Ward. Might benefit Acosta on the entry, but not going to benefit him.
Oh, here comes the lean. Here comes the lean. Right now, Ward's got to do everything he can to not let Acosta track out here. He's now been cleared. Acosta now to the front. He's going to come around here, and he'll see Barney the flagman holding the white flag, meaning 1 lap to go here at Kentucky.
I think Ward needs to find himself in a really good run coming out of 3 and then get flashy. Do something.
Will Ward use the chrome horn? I don't know. Ward's way off pace. Ward's out of gas. Ward's out of gas.
Oh, no.
That's what it is. We talked about earlier about being aggressive might cost him some fuel, and it has. Ward's going to fall way down the field here. Here comes Lowen Dick, Holly, and others. And let's come around here. We see the checkered flag. And that is it right there. That's going to be Abner Acosta winning. There's that Jeff Ward. It's going to slowly moving on down here. Well down the board here. It's going to finish, I think, P13. Maybe worse on the board. Maybe P15 on the board. Wow, what a disappointing heartbreak for Jeff Ward, Lorenzo.
He gave it his best, man. I think what happened was 4 seconds at the line. I think that's what killed him. Unfortunate to see that happen, though.
Unfortunate indeed. And there you go. There's Ted Lowendick giving a nice shot to Abner Acosta, saying, good job, congratulations. And for once again the PRL, Abner Acosta will burn it down in the Bluegrass State. All right, well, results are ready. Let's go and take a look at the unofficial results for this race. Yeah, they all lined it up here. Abner Acosta beats Ted Lowendick by 4.5 seconds. Bradley Holly's in third. James O'Brien and Ross Cato round out your top 5. Jeff Evans in P6. Mark Kalin in P7. Thomas Sink, Daniel Knight, and Zach Kerr round out your top 10. Moving back into P11 is Adam Zemke with Nick McLaughlin in P12. Joshua Tellez and Dalton Geyer 13 and 14. Jeff Ward, a disappointing heartbreak all the way back to P15 from bleeding. Dustin Bumgarner, Colton Lane, Nathan Deering, Jacob Dunn, and Jose Medina round out your top 20. Then we'll move on here. It's going to be James Morgan, also big heartbreak at the end, 21st. J.C. Evans in 22nd. Mike Knight, Doug Evans, Paul Williams, and Rodrigo Morales round out your 26 car field. That's a look top to bottom at the results of this race, Lorenzo. Man, oh man, just what an exciting race. It wasn't Daytona, but still lots of drama involved.
Dare I say this was actually more exciting and predictable than Daytona was?
Yeah, maybe in its own way. Well, Abner Acosta still doing some burnouts. We're going to let him celebrate. So let's go ahead and catch up. We'll do it in backwards order. Let's do that here. So let me go ahead and get ready here. Let's go and start with P3. The man who has sort of reinvented the helmet cam, Bradley Holly, is with Lorenzo Bonder.
So Bradley, P3, what was a promise of maybe a P1 early on in the race where when you and Ted were kind of like leading in tandem. What happened for you to drop back, and was it because of tires? Was it concern of fuel as well? Because we saw Jeff Ward running out of fuel on the last lap.
100%. I basically turned my right rear into the surface of the sun for probably 10 laps. So once I fell back and was able to cool off my right rear, I was able to pull away from James.
Yeah, because you guys were neck deep into battle, and there was even a point where you got more racy coming into the corners, and James just couldn't keep up. And how hard is it to cool down the tires in a track that not only it's kind of scorching hot of sorts, it's the front rights do take a beating into corner entries and corner exits. What is the process that you would say would be the most optimal way to go to cool down tires and get yourself back into racing shape?
Honestly, just backing up the corners. You know, that kind of helped me a little bit on the fuel aspect. You know, we slowed down enough to where fuel became a non-factor for me, just because of my pace. But you know, I probably backed my pace off probably 10%. Even trying to fight off James there, just to keep the car from trying not to spin. I pretty much went from driving on the right rear to driving on the right front for about 5 to 6 laps, and it kind of plateaued out and was able to get the car to rotate the way I wanted it to without over rotating.
Yeah, definitely. And we're taking through the next round, and we exited Kentucky. We go to Lucas Oil, our the Indy Road Course, the mini road course. What is the technicalities that change from a 1 mile track like this to a nearly half a mile track that is IRP?
It's gonna be, you know, the way that track runs. You got to figure out if the low line is going to work or the high line is going to work with the different bankings. So we're gonna have to go figure that out and just honestly see how tire wear is. If tire wear isn't that big of a deal on a short track normally, so we'll just have to see. I haven't ran there in a hot minute, so I'm gonna have to do some extra testing next week.
Absolutely. For now, Bradley, enjoy your P3, and we'll see you next week at IRP and at Lucas Oil Raceway.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's your P3 finisher, Bradley Holly, and had a great run here tonight. Let's go ahead and talk with the man who finished second, Ted Lowendick. Ted, you almost had it wrapped up at Kentucky.
I did. That was fun. It's good battles throughout, and yeah, it's a bummer we didn't win, but hey, saves me some champagne, I guess.
There you go. So I had a curiosity in the booth, and I forgot to ask you pre-race, but I know obviously you've been doing the ovals for a little over a year now, but we don't come to this track very often on the oval schedule. Is this your first race at Kentucky?
I think it's the second one. I think the first might be the second or third. One of the seasons earlier, can't remember. It might have been the first season we did. It had Kentucky on it, but it was at night, so it drove a little differently. It also could have been the old layout that's got more banking in turn 3 and 4. That was the Achilles heel tonight. I just couldn't figure out 3 and 4. I knew at some point I was driving the right front off the front of the car. Spotter was like, "Your tire's wired out." Okay. But,
yeah, at some point you're like, okay, well, thanks for the info, right? That's
right.
About that. So I have to ask now the burning question. We saw Jeff Ward run out of gas at the end of the race. How close are you to being out of gas?
It doesn't tell me. I had, I think, a liter, so I'm not in freedom units, but and you give me crap for that if you want. But I think I had two.
I will. Don't you worry about that. That'll. Yeah.
I think I had like 2 or 3 laps left in the tank. I was lifting in the turn 1 pretty good early on just to make sure we could make it. Yeah, it's just a bummer. I've used up all my stuff trying to get around Zach. In hindsight, probably should have raced him a little harder, but then you burn your stuff up there. Talking to Abner, I don't know how. He's a wizard with tire management. I don't know how he does it. So
there you go. All right, well, we're getting closer and closer to seeing another shoey here live on Race Spot, so I guess we'll see you next on Monday night. See if you can pull it off.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right, thanks, Ted. All right, there it is, driver at 72. That's Ted Lowendick. And finally, last but not least, let's catch up with your race winner, Abner Acosta. Mark another win in the book. Congratulations on the win.
Yeah, thanks, guys. That was pretty rough. I feel like everybody was really close on pace. Even though it ended with me and Jeff being really far ahead, but it was a really fun race.
Did you have any indication that you thought Jeff may have been out of gas, or was that a surprise to you when he backed off out of the corner?
Oh yeah, it was a surprise just because at the end, I think I had 2 more laps on my tank, so I didn't expect for anybody to run out at that point. I don't know, I'm sure if anybody else did, but yeah, I was definitely surprised with that.
All right, well, now we mark Kentucky off the map as a place you've won a race, or at least one race. And now next week we go to IRP, Lucas Oil, O'Reilly Raceway. Been so many names over the years. Do you like the track? Are you good at the track? How do you feel about it?
This is gonna sound embarrassing, but I'm not sure what track that is. I'll have to jump on it and see. But is it a short track?
It's the short track that's just outside of Indianapolis. Yeah, it's the one they use in the say Grand Nationals for a long time before they moved them over to Indy. Yeah.
So I'm sure I probably have not raced it in a while, but I'm sure I'll do fine. I do like short tracks, so I'm sure I'll do okay. I just gotta stay out of trouble, qualify ahead, and yeah, that's my plan.
All right. Well, I must ask. It's kind of in my head. Maybe you don't. Do you have like a map or a list of tracks you have or haven't won at yet?
Nah, I have no clue. And much like you asked, sometimes, especially for oval, like I get asked about a track, and I'm like, "What track is that again?" I have to kind of sit in it. I'm like, "Oh yeah, this is this one." But yeah, no, I'm not sure how many tracks I've not won at. Yeah, maybe I'll look it up for next week.
You know what? I know Truck Series driver Patrick Cowgill is now in charge of the PRL history book spreadsheet. Maybe we can put Patrick to work this week. Maybe we'll figure this out. We'll work on it. Well, listen, great job tonight. It's always a pleasure to watch your race, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
All right, let's get one bonus interview in real quick before we say goodnight. I want to bring in here, finish P8 tonight, Thomas Sink. Thomas, that looked crazy out there.
Oh, it was nuts. I was sliding around. The front end would go away one lap. You go in the corner next, and the back end was out, and you're 90 degree in the steering wheel. I'm sweating. It was hard.
Say what? Lorenzo and I commented that may have looked more intense than what the truck guys did at Daytona.
I don't know. Daytona's a rough one because you're so close, pushing on each other, pushing back and forth. Tonight, at least, we got a little spread out, but with everyone trying to be on different strategies, and some guys were slowing up a lot, some were kind of trying to go to the front. Once it kind of sorted out, it was okay, but then once the tires went out, and being that it was a little warm, we were just sliding around everywhere. It was kind of almost unpredictable how the car was going to go into the corner just based on how the air was moving, how much tire temperature was, and tire wear.
Well, next week, the short track IRP. How do you feel about it?
I'm not a short track guy. I like watching them on TV, but I tend to struggle. The grind Chevy's just not very good when it comes to short tracks.
All right, well, before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to or say hello to?
Absolutely. My wife, she's out right now. She'll watch it in the morning. I love you. I got yelled at last time when I didn't say anything. Grinds for sponsoring the car. Thank you to you guys putting on a great broadcast. I love watching. Everyone in the family loves watching. And then What a Back Racing for putting some work in this week. We did awesome this week.
There you go. Well, there's the driver of the Grinds 48 machine, Thomas Sink. Thomas, we'll see you next week.
Thank you, you too.
All right, and there are your post-race interviews. Lorenzo, next week, 1 week from now, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, right after we finish the trucks race, it's Lucas Oil Raceway, IRP. It's going to be bananas.
It's going to be bananas. It's those short tracks that it's easy for you to, overestimate and do not get it right. I wonder who's going to be coming in as the short track specialist, and can't wait to see what is going to happen next week.
All right, well, join us then 1 week from tonight, but for now, that's been Lorenzo Bonder. The monkey pushing the buttons in the background has been Dustin Nollis, and I've been Derek Watson. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you 1 week from tonight for more PRL action.